Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about
I don't think I've ever said this before.
So Monday being back.
Monday we did.
So we did. This is our second one being back, gang. If you're watching this from Ceuta, brace for impact, because the clips we saw yesterday in Spain was, you felt like you were watching a movie. And you see the first one, you're like, what is this? And then you see the second one, and then the third one, you're like, is this really happening to Spain? It was absolutely bonkers. And then to see Trump responded to it, Meloni from Italy responded to it, their own prime minister responded to it. There's so many clips of what this guy said that what is happening right now over there is a reality of what he was asking for, saying the West needs people. The West needs migrants. And who are we to not allow them to come here? And by the way, this is not even part of the 500,000 people that he's wanting to let in.
Totally
this is completely different. I saw numbers, low numbers of 39 to 49,000 and another report of 80,000. 39 people died from trying to come over. And this is a small little place in northern Morocco, if I'm not mistaken, where it's at. So we'll get into that. And then at the same time, we haven't reacted to this most sexiest man in the world, who is extremely famous, and he got all his assistants working on him to get different awards and money to get paid, who decided to plead the fifth. The guy that said a few years ago, I'll answer any question. Any question you want me to answer. He pleaded the fifth. We're talking about Fauci. We'll get into that. Last night, Hamas agrees to complete disarmament under historic Gaza agreement. So this is a pretty big deal for that to happen. Both Hamas and Israel agreeing to do a few things. And then aside from that, we have a story that came about with Florida insurance, which I think is very important for everybody to listen to. Iran's escalation. CNN came up with another poll talking about the fact that a third of Democrats actually accept socialism. That's the word, right? They identify as socialists, even worse. A third identify, and there's a clip, two clips of Nick Shirley with two different girls. One of them is like, yeah, you know, if somebody decided to, you know, rape me, you know, it's okay if we let him go. You just have to watch this video to say, is this girl really saying this? Like, there's no way in the world she was really saying it. And then another girl comes back and explains socialism's pretty wild. Then aside from that, we got a couple other stories. One of the stories is parents in Florida are not being given choice to opt their kids out of AI. It's the choice. Do you like it? I kind of love it because the whole thing is what? Hey, these are your kids, Jeff, not my kids. How would you like us to teach your kids? I want to opt out. You're okay to opt in. Okay, great. Thank you, parents, because it's your kids. It's not the state's kids.
Yep.
It's your kids. And then a college professor busted 32 out of 35 students using AI on a final after they all made the same lazy mistake, which you got to love. SpaceX gets $1.6 billion. U.S. Space Force order for 18 Falcon 9 launches. Again, respect to them. And then we got a couple other stories. LeBron James, there was a rumor circulating that he wants to, you know, shoot The Last Dance. Okay, something like The Last Dance documentary to come out. USA Today talked about it. Then his manager came out and says that's not true. He shoots it down. I mean, who knows? USA Today reporting on it. Now you want to say it's not? Maybe because the amount of, pushback he got. At the same time, Fanatics is saying that LeBron's jersey, number 23 with Philadelphia, is selling a ton of stuff. And then last but not least, Tom's favorite story. I really didn't want to go through this, but Tom said, Pat, we have to cover it. It's important for people to know about this. I said, okay, let's do it. And that is, let me see if I've marked it off. I marked it off here for you, Tom. I don't want you to get upset. More people now smoke weed than drink alcohol and cigarettes. I think it's important for us to address that.
Tom's doing
the American people need to know what's going on there. And,
my weed sommelier business is going to make a comeback.
I mean, Tom, we raised a bunch of money for Tom's business. John Cleese, you know John Cleese, the actor?
Yes.
You know,
Monty Python.
Yeah, Mighty Python.
Yeah.
This guy's a fairly liberal guy. He's not a conservative guy. He comes out and says some cultures are better than others, and he got destroyed for it. Anyways, we'll talk about all that stuff here today. With that being said, gang, we had an incredible, the biggest networking event we had here on the property. at the office. We'll have the highlights for you next week to show. It was incredible. People coming from all over the world, networking, doing deals together. We had exotic cars all over the place, jets all over the place. It was exciting. But we're officially 30 days away from the vault. And if you're watching this, you haven't yet gotten your ticket. The manuals are here, 296 pages to go through over 3.5 days. I want you to watch this video. Maybe for some of you that say, man, I just don't have a lot of time to get away. I want to tell you about a guy 11 years ago that also didn't have any time, and this guy said, you got to get away. Watch this clip. If you're a business owner, you will relate to this story. It's 2015. My business is growing. We're doing okay. We're on 10 to 15 million a year, but I'm afraid of getting away for a single day. So I decide to go to a conference at Harvard. It was 3 weeks long. I talked to Tom, my president. Tom's like, Pat, you got to get away. I said, I can't get away. The business needs me. I have to be here. And he says, if you can't take a few days to get away from your business, you're not a business owner. The business owns you, not the other way around. I said, you know what? I got to step away from the business. And I did. Came back, made so many positive changes to the company, and then we blew up. So if you're watching this as a business owner saying, Pat, I can't take 4 days off to go to the Vault conference, the business owns you. If you want to shift, click on a link below or above. Get registered for the Vault conference. They'll spend 4 days together from August 31st to September 3rd at MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas. Cannot wait to see you there. By the way, day one on August 31st, if you attended, those of you that attended, this will be the best networking experience you'll ever have in your life. I'm telling you right now, if you go, just to go to meet and network and get other business cards, it'll be the best networking experience you'll have in your life, and you'll see why, but the only way to find that is you got to go there. Go to Vault 2026, get your tickets. Again, Vault 2026. Logan Ball, Stephen Bartlett, Dan Martell, Montana Rice, and others, and a surprise in the CEO session, which I can't disclose to you. It's only for the people that will be there. Go to Vault 2026, get registered. We'll see you there. With that being said, let's get right into it. Yesterday, we're all minding our own business. We're doing our own thing. We don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden, a video goes viral in Spain. And no matter how much you're scrolling through X or Instagram, you keep seeing it. One clip after another clip after another clip. Can you go to the first one of them coming through the water, the ocean? So Ceuta, which is a Spain city, I want to say, in the northern part of Morocco, and the separation between Spain and this city, Ceuta, on northern part of Morocco is Gibraltar, which is a very important place. And all of a sudden, you see this clip right here. Yeah, play this clip. Go back a little bit to see this clip. Look. This is all Spain. Okay, this has all happened within 24 hours of people coming across. And by the way, when you look at this, you don't see families, you don't see husband and wife and kids, a lot of young men. So some are saying these were criminals that they let out, and a lot of these guys were coming through. And all of a sudden, one guy's being interviewed saying, what are you doing here? I don't know if you have this clip. Here's one guy that's being interviewed saying, why did you come out here? Look of his breakdown of why he left Morocco to go to Ceuta in Spain. Watch what he had to say. Go ahead. We can't hear it, by the way, just so you guys know. Guys, we can't hear any of it. The whole audio, everything, we can't hear any of it.
Can't hear the clip.
Connor, Jake, can you guys hear us in the back?
Oh, there's no audio?
No, there is audio. These videos have audio. They're all over the place with audio. Okay, we'll give it to you guys for you guys to find.
You know what this guy's saying, Pat?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's like, why'd you come here? Why are you coming here? He's like, yeah, you know what? There was a murder that I was, implicated in, and I just had to get away because, I'm just trying to get out of there and try a new beginning. So you're wanted for murder, and you left the freaking country that you're from, and that's what the hell and this video right here, Pat. They're breaking into people's homes. They're literally breaking into people's homes. And there was one video of a lady. We want to talk about suicidal empathy. Yep. Jeff, she's standing there on this bridge. Tommy, 10,000 people are running by. She's recording and going, come on in. And it's absolutely insane. And it drives me crazy, Pat. And Tom made a great point, Pat, if you mind me talking about. We do a lot of events. You just talked about the event that we had here yesterday, networking. We do the Yankees one. We do the vote. We do all this. And I realize I see behind the scenes, Tom, what it takes, the planning, the logistics. So my question is, and you brought it up today, who planned all this? This doesn't just randomly happen where 50,000 military-age men, Tommy, wake up and they go, you know what? Let's go to Ceuta. Let's just go
on
there.
your mark, get set, go.
So
Who called the play?
So that's what I wanted to ask
You're saying
you.
it wasn't just a random flash mob?
No, yeah. So Tom, my question to you is, when you see something like this, Tom, and I know we always talk about, the powers that be and the globalists, what makes this happen and who makes the call? Who does this?
Well, I have an opinion. I think, Jeff, you always have an opinion too. But when you see something like this, you have to look past the horror of it. Now, I'm horrified to see what's happening to the poor citizens that are there that had, remember, this is part of Spain that is across the Strait of Gibraltar. You think the Straits of Hormuz are skinny, you should go see films of the Straits of Gibraltar. It's across from the South Peaks of Gibraltar in Africa. It's a small little part of Spain, Ceuta, which is there. But when I see everybody organize, I look at the horror and I say, my gosh. The second thought I say, okay, what triggered this? What's going on? Why did everybody show up with the black hoodies and the bandanas and everything in Minneapolis? It was George Floyd. Yeah, but they didn't just come down to City Hall self-gathering and then get out of control because a speaker revved them up. We've seen that in America. We've seen people come together on college campuses. They're gathering. You see the students are gathering, not randomly, but they weren't set up in a mob over there to come across. And then a speaker revs them up, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Well, what that's called is dynamic rioting. This was not dynamic rioting. Somebody called the play and said, all right, blue 32, razor 6, flash on 5, which meant hide behind here, gather here, go here, and then these people were on trucks. A truck was opening, a dump truck was opening there, the back
sardines.
It looked like a military truck with a military official kind of directing people off the truck. I mean, this was
exactly. So I want to know who called this play. Somebody
You think this was planned?
Yes, I absolutely.
Because the point where we're making, Pat, is like when you guys have when we have events, it takes a lot. I see what Blake and Kelly and all these people are doing behind the scenes. There's no way. So, and again,
how do you get thousands of people to gather at once?
At one time.
At one time.
And Pat, I want to make
random.
And I want to make a quick point too, Tom. All this stuff that I'm hearing, I know I'm not pivoting, but all these people like Alex Jones and everybody, impeach Trump, kick him out. Do you understand that our border right now is the most secure? Because this reminded me of Biden's border during the Biden administration, wide open, suing Texas for putting barbed wire and all that stuff. And I want to remind everybody this. If you got, and I know the power shifts, Tom, in the pendulum. If you elect the next Democrat to come into power, this will, not maybe, not if, Tom, 100%, they're going to do the same thing, and they're going to say, oh, it's because, this is America, and we have to invite everybody in here. I sent Connor a clip of Joe Biden in 2015 saying that this exact thing. He's like, I want it to be a relentless flow of people, and he goes, well, I want white people. Can you play this clip? Do we have audio? This is Joe Biden.
Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues.
Look who's next to him.
It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop.
Look at Mayorkas' face.
As a matter of fact,
here we go.
It's one of the things I think we can be most proud of. So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration.
They've called for it.
Non-stop. Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority.
And they're proud
in the
about
United
it.
States of America.
Proud. You can stop it. Look at Mayorkas, the rat.
Take the racial part out of it.
Yeah.
The Dems wanted immigration as a path to perpetual majority at the ballot box.
Yes.
They are getting more than they bargained for. And when you say the Democrats, we need to split it in half. There are independent Democrats that are shocked that what has happened. There are independent Democrats. Listen to what Bill Maher said. Listen to what people that we've debated on this stage here have said, that they look at it and say, wait a minute, this is communist, this is DSA. And then look at the DSA infiltration. So when you say that, Vinny, I love your passion. I agree with you. But remember to split that there is a cancer forming inside the Democrat Party, the DSA.
But also,
and his comments here look like they're linked to it, but all he was looking for was ballot box majority.
100%.
And he buffooned his way into this disaster we had at the southern border.
Yeah,
it's not. Sorry, I'm just saying this isn't just Democrat. This is, again, we're watching Spain. We're watching it happen in Europe. We're watching it happen all over the place. This is a leftist movement. It's a global leftist movement. That's why when people use the term globalist, we have to identify exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah, no.
And it's exactly what you said. The idea here is conservative and center-leaning voters have been an impediment toward socialist takeover or socialist ideals. And so the idea was we need to import voters who will vote with us. Yep. Therefore, we can implement our
So
agenda.
let's go
need
through
us.
a couple things here. So
Yeah.
let's show the clip of the guy. I think the audio is now working, of the man that was saying he left Morocco because he was charged. Watch this clip here, folks.
Ali, ¿por qué no te quedas en Marruecos?
Why don't you stay in
¿Por qué
Morocco?
decides venir a
Why don't you
España?
decide to come to
Yo
Spain?
vine a España porque quiero cambiar la
I want
vida,
to change my
¿sabes?
life.
Tengo
I
problemas
have
en
problems in
Marruecos,
New
no
York.
quiero volver a Marruecos.
¿Qué problemas? ¿Qué problemas tienes en Marruecos? ¿Qué
Tengo
te pasa?
problemas que la gente con una colega que muerte
colleague who
no
died.
puede sentar ahí porque hablar cosas no buenas para mí, ¿sabes? Puedes morir una persona y yo o la otra persona, ¿sabes? Por eso yo vine.
¿Tenías trabajo? ¿Te faltaba trabajo?
Ya, yo tengo trabajo bueno, yo trabajaba.
So basically, my colleague was dead. They implicated me, so I got to get the hell out of there.
And I had a job at the beach teaching people to swim, which I assume means lifeguard or attendant.
Yeah. So the quality of people that are going there is insane. You know, we don't know what it is. There was a guy, I think it was 39 people that died on their way there, the number. And when you hear, the biggest problem here is with Pedro Sanchez. If you can pull up any clips that I've sent you of Pedro Sanchez, the one where he says he disagrees with Elon Musk and he says, yeah, this is the one right here. I want you to watch this. He made this reaction to Elon Musk, I believe, and watch what he had to say. And then I want to give you some stats and concerns that he brought up. Go for it.
What's the date here, Pat?
This is recently. This is in June. This is about a month and a half ago. Go for it.
Some say we've gone too far,
This is Elon.
that we're going against the current. But I would like to ask you, when did recognizing rights become something radical? When did empathy become something exceptional? Spain is above
He's
all
telling you,
a welcoming country. And this is the path we choose. Dignity, community, and justice.
This is dignity? Okay, so no problem. So now, when you're looking at this, these are the things he said. Spain needs to choose between being an open and prosperous country or a closed-off, poor country. It's simple as that. He said that in October of 2024. Number two, he said in June 30th of 2026, without immigration, Spain would lose 19% of their GDP by 2050. How does he come up with that? Nobody knows. Here's also what argument he made. He says it'll be down GDP 22% by 2075, 90,000 bars closing, again, fear porn, 50,000 school classrooms disappearing, 220,000 farms, about one-third disappearing. He's making these claims. And FYI, do you know of the 80,000 people that they say invaded Ceuta, and let's just say the number is 49 to 60,000 migrants in a span of 24 hours. Do you know what percentage of the population that is? It's 60 to 70% of that place's population. So let me explain to you. Overnight, this population, majority Spaniards, overnight is majority, now Muslims coming from Morocco, not legal immigration, pure invasion. You see the videos. This is not like it's a regular thing. At least 34 people reportedly died during the crossing, according to the latest official estimates. And here's what the president had to say about it. Go for it.
Did you discuss it with him?
I did, briefly. He's going to have to mention it because it's killing your country.
Mr. President,
Killing you.
he won't talk to GB News.
He's killing your country.
He won't talk to us.
And not him. I mean, we'll have to see. I know Starmer did very little about it. And they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from South America. They're coming from different parts of Asia. And they're invading Europe. I mean, they're invading Europe. It's an invasion. And the UK is a prime suspect.
Mr. President, on Todd Blanche, Senator John Cornyn of Texas.
By the way, while you're watching this, it's important while you're watching this and seeing what's going on, Italy's Meloni sends a tweet out, okay? Massive. I mean, it went viral all over the place. If you just want to go to my handle, just go to my X account and you'll be able to see it. She sends a tweet out explaining her concerns of what's going on here. A lot of people are saying they don't know if she's going to do anything or not. If you can just go to hers first, please. Thank you. The images coming from Ceuta are striking and demonstrate once again that uncontrolled illegal immigration poses a concrete threat to the security of European borders. I have spoken with Interior Minister Matteo. Italy will not stand by and watch. We are convening the relevant bodies and following these meetings, we are prepared to intervene with extraordinary measures to defend the borders and the safety of citizens, including the suspension of a Schengen area with Spain on illegal immigration. We will not yield an inch. Defending the borders, stopping human traffickers, and ensuring effective reparations will continue to be the line of this government. Go a little bit lower. I posted a comment below, and I said, Italy is your best long-term solution, period. A lot of people say, well, how did Brexit work out? Brexit didn't work out because their last 7 prime ministers are, globalists, and they're not coming from a place. But if Maloney can stand guard and stay strong and defend their great country with a rich history, they can, do something about it. I want to send this clip to you. I talked to Dominic Tarczynski from Poland yesterday because this was my concern. My concern, Vinny, was the following, and Tom, Jeff, I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. My concern was, okay, in Europe, if you have a passport, you can automatically use that passport to go where?
EU passport.
EU passport.
Yes. The blue passport.
Of course, you can use that passport to go where?
Anywhere.
So now watch this. So if this is phase 1, is invasion.
Yes.
Phase 2, what do you think is the likelihood of Pedro Sanchez finding a way to make these guys legal residents in the next few years if he's able to?
He can't get rid of them.
If he does, then what happens next? So then they have passports. Then what happens to EU? Then it's not an invasion of Ceuta or Spain. This is an invasion of EU.
Yes.
This is an infiltration. So I asked Dominic Tarczynski, and I said, hey, Poland, you keep telling me you guys have the lowest unemployment, lowest rape, lowest this, lowest that. What is Poland doing about it? He says, I'll send you a clip. Watch this. This is what he said. Support illegal immigrants. Spain, Poland, bottom. Deport illegal immigrants. Lowest unemployment rate, lowest rape. Look at that for themselves on what they have going on. They deport illegal immigrants. How the hell are you going to get rid of 60 to 80,000 people that just got to the island? Go ahead and show me how you're going to do it. America tried to do when Biden let in, 10 to 20 million people? And the moment Trump tried to do it, what happened? I called this. I said, it is going to be such easy content for the left to use and say, look how ice cold, ICE is and Trump is, cold-hearted people, and someone's going to get killed, and ICE is going to stop. It's going to be impossible to get rid of the 10, 15, 20 million people. And that's, by the way, 10, 15, 20 million people coming through is what? 3% of our population? 3% of population? Now imagine if it's 60 to 70% of your population within 24 hours. Yeah, we're going to be able to do anything about it. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Well, in America, we have every right to be concerned because this is Spain's Biden moment. I don't know if you saw what the Babylon Bee said. They said Spain turns to experienced border czar Kamala Harris for help with the migrant crisis. Because here's the reality, because essentially we're not really worried about Spain. We are worried about America. When we see tens of thousands of people pour through the border, we're shocked. We can't believe what's going on. How many people came through the border during Kamala's reign as the border czar? Over 10 million people. So imagine this on replay in America over and over and over again. And then he touched on it with the suicidal empathy. When Trump came down that escalator 10 years ago, and he said, Mexico, when they come from Mexico, they're not sending their best. This is what he's talking about. This is what he's talking about killing your country. And if we don't learn from this in America, we would end up like Europe. Thank God we have someone like Trump that shut down the border on day one when he came into office in 2024, or else we would be potentially this leftist open border ideology here in America. So Vinny's absolutely right. You may disagree with Trump on a few different things, but thank goodness that he shut down the border, and America is way better for it.
Because, and Adam, great point. If they won, if Kamala won, and whatever cheating that they tried to do, whatever, what number would we be at today? Where would we be at? 25 million? And this is the thing that bothers me. Like, what are we going to do as Americans, as patriots, Tom, to stop it if it happens again? And I swear, and I've said this once before, I'm saying it again. We would have to, as Americans, Pat, go there and stop them. Because Spain doesn't have weapons. They don't have guns. This is an invasion by your leadership. And I'm sorry, this is the Republic. If we want to save the Republic, when these people come in and they come to power, which they're going to, it's inevitable. What are we going to do as Americans? And I promise on this podcast, I'm going to go to, we have to go there and fight. We have to. Or else what are we doing? And then what do? We let it happen, and then a year down the road, 2 years down the road, when our women are getting murdered and raped, what do we say? Oh, the Democrats. It can't be like that, because these people are helpless, Tom. In Spain, what are they doing? They drink wine and eat bread and dance in the streets and they watch the bulls run in the streets. They should let the bulls like loose in the streets to go after these people, because it's purposeful invasion by your leadership. And if your leadership is behind it, Pat, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, and by the way, this
Vinny.
this picture right here, I don't know if you've seen this Pedro Sanchez picture with
there you go.
Alex Soros. I don't know if the audience is able to see it or not. I'm only seeing Adam's face if you guys are showing it. You know, the question then becomes, who's behind it? Who's winning? Who's celebrating? Who's not? What could it turn into? For me, you know, can you pull up a poll? And by the way, the history of, if you go a little bit deeper in the history, there's a massive, massive history of, you know, Morocco Muslims taking over Spain, you know, 600-700 years when they invaded, and then Spain took it back over with the Catholics that came in, and there was a crusade-like a type of a thing. Tom, correct me on this. That took place, and then Portugal got involved, and Portugal used to have Ceuta. It used to be Portugal City, if I'm not mistaken, and then there were some treaties that happened that Portugal needed Spain, and then they gave it to Spain, and then Spain came in. And if you look at the city, it looks like you're in Spain, and it's down the street from Morocco. And so the argument a lot of people make is, well, you know, this is really Morocco and Muslims, and they did this to us. And they're like, no, this is how it works. This is Spain. So there is a rich history. Do you remember in Argentina where there is these allegations they made that after they held the flag when they beat England, Falkland Island, you know, the whole thing that they did?
Oh, yeah.
They said that's the reason the FIFA pulled up to Argentina, and they said, you're either going to get a 10-year suspension from competing in the World Cup, or you guys can't play the best. And that's why the clips showed that Messi was emotional. Some of the players were crying, let's just go do our best. Then the greatest player of all time gets 0 shots. The entire team gets 0 shots in the World Cup finals against Spain. And one of the most accurate players of all time is missing all the shots on everything. Kind of weird. These are very sensitive topics. This to Morocco and Spain is very sensitive, which means what? I said this yesterday. If you want to go to Twitter, I said this yesterday. It's events like this that could lead to an all-out civil war. An all-out civil war. Spain could be headed into a civil war. This isn't just a border dispute. Spain spent centuries under Muslim rule before Christian kingdoms fought for generations to reclaim the peninsula. Morocco will dispute Spain's control of Ceuta and Melilla today. The past has a way of resurfacing itself. So this could get very nasty very soon. And if it doesn't, let me say this, if it doesn't, it's going to sound weird the way I say it. It means the conservatives who know this is horrible for their country and they're nationalists, Spaniard nationalists, they're either afraid, they're worried what's going to happen with the backlash, they're already planning on leaving. Some may even use the word they're cowards to defend with values and principles that they know is right. They don't have the means to do so, and simply unfair. Unfair. One bad leader and philosophy can destroy a once great nation. The people that I know, the Spaniards, they're tough, they're strong, they love their country, they're proud. They just had the biggest moment in the last 50 years, winning the flippin' World Cup. This should be a celebration, not an invasion. This is the gift the prime minister gives to their country. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but there's a lot of emotions behind something like this. Tom, Jeff, I'll come to you guys and I'll get to the next story. Go ahead, Tom.
So I have 4 fast points. Number 1, if they end up with an EU passport, they can come to the United States without a visa, and then they just throw the passport over their shoulder and then hide like the rest of the illegals in America. So there is a path for some of the worst and the most organized of these to get that passport and go wherever they want, basically, first. Second, looking at Poland, I'll tell you a couple things about Poland people don't know. There was issues with the old version of Russian passports. Old versions of Russian passports did not have biometrics. In other words, the higher levels of confirmation of who received the passport and who didn't. And Poland said, we are no longer accepting at the border the old Russian passports. You have to have the biometric passport, because they were fearful that within the people with the old passports, it was easy to counterfeit, that there could be people that they don't want in Poland. Next, Belarus got a little too hot for them. And so they absolutely locked down the border at Belarus. And the article I read said that they only took the most desperate refugees, but they had basically put it on lockdown because what was going on in Belarus was too intense. That is a well-run country, Poland, with sensible things, still able to give an authentic refugee shelter and doing the right thing. Now I'll take you to my last point. The weakest border in the EU destroys the whole thing. Destroys the whole thing. And what Germany did and then regretted with all the boat people that made it to Germany, and now what Spain has done, your weakest border is everything. What was Texas doing was screaming and trying to put its own people down on the border till the Biden administration say, take your Texas Marshals and your Texas Rangers off that border. And they took the bulldozer and took down the barbed wire. Yep. Because, and by the way, because it wasn't enough that things were flooding into California. It wasn't enough that things were flooding right into the highway that runs right up to Tucson, Arizona. It wasn't enough. They wanted it. So the weakest border in the EU was Germany. But look what happened to Germany years later. Conservative victories, they're still not out of the woods, but Germany is waking up. And now Spain opens the border. And the last point I'll make, Pat, is an economic one. If you listen to what the Prime Minister was saying, here's what I heard. We are going to lose this. We are going to lose this many people. We are going to lose this. It almost sounds like he wants the low-cost workers to come in so he can compete with the Vietnams and the Philippines for manufacturing and build tax and revenue off that. If you listen close, it's almost like he doesn't just want globalism, he wants Spain to be able to compete. It used to be the Eastern European countries, Pat, had lots and lots of people willing to work in semi-safe factories and build things for the rest of Europe.
Terrible strategy.
It's a terrible economic strategy, but I see that in his words.
You're actually giving him credit by saying that.
I'm not giving him credit. I'm saying it's an evil plot.
I know, but hear me out. But no, it's not an evil plot. The way you just put the last part is your way of saying that's his economic philosophy of this is the way of working labor and being able to compete with others. But I don't even think logic exists with guys like this. I don't think it exists. I don't think this guy is thinking about it from that lens. I think he looks at the world in a very different way than you and I do. We're giving him credit to think he's thinking like an economist.
But he loses Spain and he creates Vietnam.
Yeah,
well, I know. Yeah.
What you're saying, I agree with you, Pat. I think that's just the economic justification they're going to throw out there. They don't believe that for a second. I think what's disheartening about this is that this is a democratically elected government that is choosing to do this, which means there is significant support for this kind of thing. And that's the thing I think we need to focus on. Right. Is why do so many people support this? Nobody's falling for the argument that Spain's GDP is going to be cut in half by 2100 if this does. Nobody falls for that. What really happens is, as we'll talk about here, I think, the toxic empathy. We watched that clip of the one guy who maybe was implicated in a murder. People on the left will hear that guy's story and say, oh my God, that poor guy. He was coming here for a better life. It's really that sort of perspective that drives all this. Their perspective is the global South, for lack of a better term, is, to use President Trump's word, a hellhole, a shithole, right? And so it's understandable why those people would want to come to the North. And so the problem that we have is convincing people to overcome their toxic empathy when they have no experience of the downside of their toxic empathy. For them, it's all just distant, images on social media. They don't have to live with the consequences of their actions and their support. So the problem here is we have democratically elected governments, and I don't mean Democratic Party necessarily, but democratically elected governments
the process
that are absolutely choosing to do this, and they're disingenuous in their reasoning for it. But they know very well the type of people who will support these programs, and they are doing everything they possibly can to pump it up. Like you said, ICE enforcement should have been a no-brainer, but the Democrats took that and said, we've got tons of social media content. It was a layup.
Easy.
And we also fumbled the execution.
I'll say this because a lot of people criticize me, and I get their criticism, and they'll say something like this. Go back to Iran. Look at you. You came here because of immigration. What if there was no immigration for you? Fair. Let's go through it. We applied to get green card in the early 80s. We stayed in Iran till 89, 6 weeks after Khomeini died. We were able to go to Germany. From Germany, we came down here. By the way, do you know the level of gratitude I have for Germany and America? I am grateful. America didn't need to do anything for me. America owes me nothing. Nothing. I came here as a gift. When they gave it to me, it was, what can I do for America? Not what I can take from America. How can I contribute? So I did my best, went to the military, got out, and built businesses, created jobs, just to say thank you. Because I couldn't have done this in Iran. But don't get it twisted. America didn't have to do this. If America said, Pat, we don't want you from Iran, I actually understand it. Why? If somebody's coming from Iran and you've seen all the chaos that's happening after Shah and Khomeini and all these guys are killing a bunch of people, I don't blame you to not want people to come from different places to protect your country. I don't blame you. And if you got it, I got lucky. This is why 10 years ago, 8 years ago, one of the funniest things happened with my kids is, it was here. So 5.5 years ago, one night my son tells me, Dylan says, Daddy, why don't you have a middle name? I says, Daddy, I just don't have a middle name. He says, but everybody in this house, including your dad, has a middle name Derek. I have a middle name James. Patrick has a middle name Gabriel. Why don't you have a middle name? I said, I don't have a middle name. He says, if you did have a middle name, what would it be? I said, Lucky. He says, why Lucky? I said, because I'm the luckiest man in the world. You're 6, 7 years old. You're naive. It's like, Daddy, you're the luckiest man in the world. I said, I'm the luckiest man in the world. You didn't know that? He says, come on, Dad. The next day he goes to school. The teacher reaches out to us saying, your son is going around telling everybody, do you know my dad's the luckiest man in the world? He believed it. Guess what? I believe it. We didn't come like this. We didn't come invading like this. We waited patiently and did it by the books. And if they didn't allow me, they have the right to not allow me. That's why I'm lucky. So this messaging that people jump in and by the way, culturally, I stand for everything the American, freedom of speech, Constitution, all of that. Culturally, we love what America stands for, and the culture fits. By the way, John Cleese, the actor from what's the
Monty Python.
Yeah, he said something recently that got him in trouble. Here's what he said. He said, I see I am being ritually insulted for my support of this man. He's talking about Rupert Lowe, of what's going on with Britain. The uneducated call me racist. I'm not a racist. I'm a culturalist. I believe that some cultures are better than others. I prefer cultures that do not advocate stoning, pederasty, wife-beating, female genital mutilation, and beheading opponents. Call me old-fashioned. And can you do me a favor, go a little bit lower to just read, are there a couple tweets, or is it the same? Okay, I'm not a racist. I'm a culturalist. I believe some cultures are superior to others. I prefer cultures that do not encourage wife-beating, pedophilia, when stoning,
female genital mutilation.
Yeah, constant inflation of the male ego. I'm also aware of the difference between skepticism and Islamophobia. Notice that hate does not come into this, only moral preferences. Can you choose the first one? And let's go lower. I just want to read the tweets from people. I want to know what kind of tweet response he got below. Not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims. Okay, so that's one of the tweets. What bad has mass migration done to to immigration to Europe ever done to us? The raping, what? Oh yeah, go a little bit lower. Concur, old-fashioned, common sense. Go a little bit lower. Which of these following is morally wrong? Hitting your wife, slavery, marrying a child, eating bacon. So they're mocking, and this is funny and all this stuff, and we'll have fun with this. People will have fun with this. People mock us as well on some things that you go through. But it's very simple. What cultures clash? Who comes in that makes the place better? If it does, great. If a culture enters a community, Vinny, say I don't tell you what the religion of this community is, okay? Every time 1,000 people from this culture move into your city, rape goes down, unemployment goes down, job creation goes up from this specific community. Do you want more people from that community?
Absolutely.
You would entertain it, right? And say, yes, it's okay when they come from there. Do you care what religion they are?
No.
Do you care what color they are?
No.
Do you care what? No. All you care about is statistically. Now, let's take any other religion. Every time 1,000 people from that community come, rape goes up, crime goes up, theft goes up, fear goes up, job creation goes down, entitlement programs goes up. Do you want more people from that community?
No.
What if that community is Christians?
I still don't want.
That's
if
the
that's
point.
What, you're
What if
doing,
that community is Assyrians?
Yeah, I don't want.
What if that community is white? What if that community is black? What if that community is Asian? What if you don't care about where the community comes from? All you care about is you came, did the stats go up or down? Down. Is it bad or good? Horrible. We don't want any more people from this community. That shouldn't be irrational or that should be very common sense for people to say, yeah, that makes sense to me. So Tom, for you, when you see John Cleese say something like this, how do you process that?
Well, I process it that he is bravely coming out to display common sense. And when it takes bravery to put common sense in a post on X, you know something's wrong. Because there's going to be people with those blue and yellow vests from the thought police that knock on people's doors in Britain and say, excuse me, did you say this on social media? No, I don't think they're going to come after him for this. But he doesn't have to go more than about an inch more, and the thought police are going to come. But when I see John Cleese and he says, restore Britain, what he's really saying is restore peace, restore what we were, restore what was there. I can remember going to London in the 90s, in the 80s, and there was plenty of Indian people around. There was plenty of Pakistani people around. And it would be funny, you would look at them waiting for a certain accent, and they had British accents because they had effectively grown up there. And so there was a time when the dilution wasn't bad, where it was, hey, people would legally immigrate. And the one part you left out of your story, Pat, is the Germany chapter was at a U.S. Air Force base going through a step-by-step background check process before they let you come to the United States. So it was the law. You followed the law. And here, people just coming in, leading to a guy like John Cleese saying, call me old-fashioned, but I don't want any of these bad statistics. I want to restore Britain, and I'm supporting this guy, and you all are coming after me for it. I think that's horrible.
But that's the other half of this, right? The first half of it is the empathy. The other half of it is they've demonized British culture or white culture or American culture. So the people who support this
to
invasion,
justify influx.
Both sides of it. You're the bad guy.
Yep.
Who cares if your community gets worse? I don't care about you. You're an evil, racist bigot. The guy from South America, I love that guy. He just wants a better life. That's the argument they're making. And a lot of people are falling for it. So John Cleese comes out and tells the truth. People don't listen to John Cleese because he's an evil white guy, right? That's the game here. They have demonized the old way of doing things, the old world. They've said it's irredeemably racist. And because it's irredeemably racist, you deserve everything you get, including being replaced as a voter, as a part of the economy. That's the game here.
You know, the president does speeches in State of the Union, and then he'll bring people in, Pat, and they sit up there, they give medals to people. A young man that was suffering from terrible disease was given a honorary badge to be a Secret Service or a law enforcement. Remember all this? Do that. I think it's time for our president to bring 3 regular people from Poland, 3 regular people from Germany, and say, I'd like you to say a few words to the American people. Germany, how has it worked out? Oh my gosh, 10 years ago, these people started coming in. Here's what happened. It was bad. Now we're voting the other way. Because somebody has to show America, and it's not going to be the news media, someone has to show us the perspective so that we have it. And then have the 3 people from Poland talk about, hey, you know, it's safe here, and people can legally immigrate here, but we keep a tight lid on it. Americans have no perspective, Pat. And the perspective comes too late, as the German conservatives are finding out.
You know what else I would add to that outside of perspective? Gratitude. Gratitude. Short-term memory. People forget at any point, anything can go. At any point, anything can go, and you can't be entitled and lack gratitude. Those are the 2 things. Adam, I'll come to you, and then I'm going to get to the next story.
Well, this is why so many people say the following, which is, all I want to do is preserve Western values. You know, we get criticized so much for the West colonizing the East or colonizing Africa. And there's so many whites with white guilt and white shame. They've been indoctrinated in schools that white, bad, bad, bad. But when you flip it, the challenge that I have is it's a 2-way street. These days, You go to China, you go to Japan, you go to Saudi, you go to Iran, you go to Venezuela, you go to Colombia. They have their culture there. And they say, this is our culture. Like, can you just go to Saudi and set up churches? But no, you could go to London and set up as many mosques as you want. How many Muslims have basically taken over London? And I know my friend Piers Morgan disagrees with this kind of stuff. The challenge I have is the two-way street. If you can do this to me, but I can't do this to you, that's the problem that I have. And white people with their white shame and their white guilt, unfortunately, feel so bad of what was done in history that they neglect all the good that was done from Western civilization, and all they do is focus on the bad. So I encourage them to figure out the good that we've done in society, not just the bad.
There's a time, Adam, that so you sit there with your kids and you argue points with them because you want to teach them logic. Like, I said this 2 weeks ago when we were in New York, and one of the operators, we were in Vegas 2 days ago with one of our clients. But I said this in New York. I said, as a leader, this is how I work with my wife, my kids, and my executive team. This is how I work. I'll come to you and I'll say, guys, what do we do with this? I'm 80-20. I can go any direction. What do we do with this? Jeff, what do you think? I think we need to do this. So what do you think? So, do you agree with what Jeff just said? I don't. Jeff, do you agree with what's your rebuttal to Jeff? Okay, Tom, what would you? And I'm like, all right, so what do we want to do? And then we make a decision, right? Then I'll come in and I'll say, this is a 50-50 issue for me. Let's debate it out. Then I'll come in and say, I'm an 80-20. I'm 80% there, but I need the last 20% to get there. Help me get to 100%. About 90% of the decisions we make is that way. But let's say the 5 to 10%, you know what I'll come and say? I don't want your input. This is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, but Dad, no, I didn't ask you for your input. Babe, I didn't ask you for your input. I'm telling you, this is what we're doing as a leader of the household. Hey, executive team, I don't need your feedback. Here's what we need to be doing next. Tom, boom, 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 right? I think this is one of those 100% type of decisions that it needs to be, no, we've already won. We made the argument. And it took us 250 years to make the argument, the case that America is the greatest country in the world. You guys have thousands of years of chaos and a 56 group of people that got together and they went up against the biggest bully, took over, and now we are massive. Those guys are struggling. They forgot what they were all about. They used to be the face of the entire world, running the financial capital of the world. You want me to apologize that our way of living and thinking and developing is not the right way of doing it? Why are we apologizing? No. It's a 100% issue. There needs to be more conviction on the way we're presenting that. By the way, story came out. I don't even want to get into this. I just want to say what America did. More than 200,000 migrants have taken Trump's offer to pay them for self-deporting. Good. If you remember last year, DHS raised the cash incentive from $1,000 to $2,600 in late January.
And you could get the app even on burner phones.
Yeah. After temporarily raising it to $3,000 during a 10-day period in December, migrants who sign up receive free airplane flights in addition to their exit bonus. A total of 132,000 people have left through U.S. programs and another 70,000 waiting to leave. Sure. Okay, waiting to leave according to Axios. These numbers reflect a 180% increase over 72,000 self-deportations reported in March by CNN. So this is one of the ways of doing it. But imagine you have to pay people to leave. Hey, get out of here. We don't want you. Here's $30,000 with a flight. Go to different countries. So this is one of the methods that America's doing. Let me get to the next story. Fauci, okay? How many days ago was Fauci, by the way? Was it Wednesday? Was it Tuesday? I don't know what day it was, but we didn't do a podcast.
Was it Tuesday or Monday?
It was one of the days. And all of a sudden, Tom and I are on a flight back. Wherever we were on a flight. I don't know where we were. We could have been, we were coming back from Hamptons. I don't know where we're coming back from. Tom says, Pat, I'm telling you, this guy's going to plead the fifth tomorrow. He says, I'm telling you, he's going to plead the fifth for everything tomorrow. I said, you think he's going to plead the fifth? He doesn't have to do anything. He's got the preemptive, pardon. He's got immunity. He's going to have protection from the people previous to him. He knew, he was guilty, and he knew this day was coming, and he's going to plead the fifth the entire time. And then all of a sudden, we wake up, and a highlight reel of Josh Hawley showing the fact that any question he asked, this is how Fauci was going to answer. We got a handful of clips to show you, and then we'll get into it. Go for it. We need audio, guys. Can you go back, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel,
Look at
I
his smirk on his
respectfully
face. You
decline
see
to
smile?
answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So this is one clip. Now, one of the guys went scorched earth on Fauci. And when I tell you this, dropped an F-bomb to his face.
Oh, Marino?
He says, I was a business guy. I was running my businesses. And then when I saw what you guys did, I'll let him tell the story. He does a better job at explaining his position. Go for it.
It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that?
Look at Fauci's face, though.
It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. I will make it my mission to make certain that every single one of those Democrats who did that will see that clip over and over and over again. Because there is no defense of what you did. You may have had a 50-plus year legacy of public service, but it ends in total and complete
And by the way, I
disgrace.
think there was a moment later on when he's walking out, he goes into the elevator, he says, Fauci's a full-on POS. I think he said that. The clip is out there. You may be able to find it. But there was a moment where Fauci and others, probably some of the Biden administration, instructed him to have your lawyer speak on your behalf. Until Rand Paul's like, no. This ain't going to fly. I'm here to talk to you, not your lawyer. I don't know if you have that clip ready or not. This is one of the best clips of Rand Paul asking, this is not it. There's a clip of his lawyer in there, Fauci's lawyer sitting next to him, and Rand Paul says, I need you to get up and please escort this man out of here. Is this the one? Go for it.
You're not recognized. You're not recognized. If you are unruly, you will be removed from the proceeding. You are not recognized, and you are not recognized, sir. Sir, you are not recognized. You are not recognized. Security.
The audacity.
We'll hold off, but you will respect these proceedings. You were told not to sit at the table. You insist on sitting at the table, and we told you would not be recognized. You are not invited here for testimony, sir. You are being disruptive. Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said, sit quietly. You are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what the
Can you
attorney
please
has to say.
show the clip that I texted you this morning that shows him being escorted out instead of showing the 17-minute clip? Thank you. Is this the one?
His attorney has been gagged,
No, like they already kicked him out.
Yeah.
Right?
thrown out of this hearing room.
Yeah, okay, so this is
They
after
should
him being
certainly
escorted
be
out. Yeah,
addressed.
so...
But not in a show
So he
trial.
eventually says, get out. And by the way, you know what people start
Applause.
doing? Everybody starts clapping for the guy to get out. So, again, we can show so many of these clips. The one thing that I saw, which was kind of weird, was the following. I don't know if you have that one about, did you guys see the clip that was posted by Libs of TikTok of the pardon that was given to him, how it was dated? Have you guys seen this one? Did you see this one, Vinny? Watch this. Tom, I don't know if you saw this one or not. Fauci's pardon is dated back from 2014. Do you know what else happened in 2014? The NIH awarded a grant to study bat coronavirus at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Really makes you wonder. Please click on the executive grant of clemency. Zoom in a little bit if you could. Zoom in a little bit if you could. Are you able to? It doesn't allow you? Okay. If you zoom in, it tells you right there that for any offenses against the United States, which he may have committed or taken part in during the period from when? January 1st, 2014, through the date of this pardon arising for or any manner related to his service as director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Why did they take you back to 2014? Biden wasn't president in 2014.
Weird.
Why would they take it back there? Did you see this one time or no?
Yes, I did. It's very clear why they went back there, because the date was being put on this thing by the people that are supporting Fauci, which is people that were in the pharmaceutical industry and the people, the senators and the people that authorized the appropriation to fund NIH, which money then went to the Wuhan lab, which was being done for research on gain of function. So it's clear. They're like, you know, somebody said to the president, yeah, you know, the date on this, we need to go back to 2014. Why? No reason. Pat, that's exactly why. What he said, the 2014 is an admission by the people that were around Fauci and that were lobbying for and that were helping put this clemency and this pardon in place, that they knew back in 2014 what they were doing. That's what it means.
But Fauci asked for it, though. Like, think about it, Tom. Fauci was the one trying to go for clemency. He was begging. This is Fauci going, hey, you're going to give me a pardon because we were all in on this together. I needed to go back to 2014 because I know that they're going to come after me. Not because of lawfare like they did with Trump. This is actual, Pat, he's a monster. And I'm using that word. Like, I have so much to say about
it. Monster's appropriate. Go, take the lead. Go for it.
Besides, Connor, I'm going to go to one thing. Just to show you who Fauci is as a human being, because I'm going to go in. In 2020, can you find the rat thing? Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh published a study where they grafted scalp tissue from aborted babies onto mice and rats, causing the human skin to remain alive, even to grow fine human hair on babies. This was funded by part of the NIA infectious diseases while Fauci was its director. This is who Fauci is, Pat. Just to give everybody a little glimpse on who this guy is when I say that he's a monster. Okay, I want everybody to understand that. So the point I want to make too is, Pat, one thing. The auto pen that we just saw in that document, what happened? President Trump even has it as Biden's photo. Where's the investigation? Where's the prove that it's wrong? That's the only way to go.
What did Trump say? Trump said they can't do anything about this, or they're not going to do anything about it?
He respected the pardon. So
yeah.
Why do you think he's saying that?
Because there probably is no real legal route.
Or it's two things, though. Can you play the clip? Can you play the clip, please?
Do you think that the DOJ should reopen the investigation into the auto pen, specifically pertaining to Fauci?
Well, the only thing you can really think about is the auto pen, because the most powerful thing the president has, they say, is the power of pardon. So he was pardoned by Biden, and I respect that. I know how powerful it is. It's a very powerful, they say it's literally the most powerful thing a president has. Now, whether or not...
So here's to all the Democrats who are defending Fauci. You have one of two choices, and Viniana, come back to because I want you to finish your thoughts. One choice you have, call out all the BS with Fauci and how he was protected. If you don't, when the president self-pardoned himself and all his family members, this is how much moral authority you have to say anything. Nothing. Period. And you better believe it's going to happen. Because as much as everybody is like, well, you know, they were going after Hunter Biden and all this other stuff, these guys took money from Burisma. There's so many different documented things that was being said about, you know, actual things that you can see. What is the likelihood of the next president, say AOC wins, what's the likelihood of them going after Trump and his family and his kids and his grandkids?
101%.
101%. So don't lose your shit when the day comes when he pardons everybody and his family and you can't say nothing about it. So either mock and hold Fauci's feet to the fire and have your argument for pardons not being good, or number two, you don't have anything to say in 2.5 years.
And shame on every single one of those Democrats. Like, this is an old wound that beyond the wound, beyond the gash, this is a gaping freaking cannonball wound to your stomach. They expect us just to roll over and forget about it. Think about this. If you're listening to this, your business was ruined, okay? And I know this, Pat, because there's somebody in our room over here in production who couldn't see their grandfather who was dying, that was calling, crying, to his family members that they couldn't come see me. They wouldn't because of this guy, because of Fauci, and he was in charge of all of it. All the churches closed down. The liquor stores were open, and all you guys are sitting around not doing anything. And what boggles my mind, okay, is people that are still sticking up for this freaking monster today. Like Chris Cuomo, who I know that they're best friends, and he grew up with him, knowing him. Your boy knowingly knew, okay, about everything about COVID, the origins, lied about the mask, lied about the social distancing, lied about the vaccine deficiency, lied about transmission, natural immunity, lied about ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and even when they knew this was helpful, they lied about it. And Chris Cuomo, you got long COVID, whatever that means. Your boy Fauci knew that ivermectin and all that stuff could have helped you. Okay? But you guys went on CNN and embarrassed everybody. You called everybody and made fun of them. And they even CNN made Joe Rogan look green. Okay? And the one clip that pisses me off, it's not this one, Connor. Go to the one. Everybody has clips going around. And Chris Cuomo's is going around, especially with the Dave Smith debate. What pisses me off, Connor, could you go to the other one that I sent of Chris Cuomo basically calling the purebloods, the people that didn't get vaccinated, terrorists. Could you play that beginning clip, Connor? Okay. Well, while he looks at that, while he goes and finds that, I want to make a point. I wonder how many children, how many kids, Pat, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6-year-old, are suffering right now from myocarditis because they heard the clip that he's looking for, where a father probably was like, well, I don't want to be a terrorist. Let me jab my kid with this experimental drug. This is the number one clip that infuriates me.
This one?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Think about this. In a world of threats and tyrants and terror, you know what our biggest enemy is in America? Our fellow Americans. The pandemic is dispositive proof of that. The number of new COVID cases going down.
You can pause it. Goes into it and basically tries to make fun of everybody. Not make fun, but bash anybody that's getting vaccinated, okay? And no apology, okay? Unlike Stephen A. Smith, Pat, I keep getting more respect every single day for Stephen A. Smith. He apologized for calling Kyrie Irving selfish for not taking the vaccine. That's a man. That's a real man saying that I messed up. Like, I messed up and I'm sorry. So it just drives me crazy. This cannot be something that we just look over like James Comey's 8647 shells that nobody's even talking about anymore. That's nonsense. People died. Americans died. Americans are going to suffer forever, Pat, because of this people, and they pushed it. And there's no apology. And Fauci sits there, Pat, untouchable. Untouchable, knowing that nothing's ever going to happen to him.
You know what, though, Vin? I think there's a couple of things here. I mean, number one, this is an open wound that needs to be dealt with in a lot of different ways. Emotionally, but also politically, legally, a whole bunch of people are fucking tired of no accountability. Yeah, no accountability. So that's number one thing. But what struck me about the testimony with Fauci, especially the fact that he kept invoking the Fifth Amendment, did you look at his face? It looked like the guy was going to cry. And the reason the guy was going to cry is, I mean, just the diary stuff alone. This is a megalomaniac who did not want to sit there and be berated by a bunch of people he thinks are beneath him. The fact that he did sit there and take it to the point it was almost like torture watching the guy, because he knows if he opens his mouth, he's in trouble. Mm-hmm. So what we're saying here is there is something here, and Fauci knows it. The question is, how do we get it? Well, that's the question.
So the part to do it, and FYI, Jeff, Vinny, incredible breakdown. And shout out to Stephen A. Smith and Cuomo. Eventually, all he has to do is just come out and say it. I don't think it's going to happen.
Americans are forgiving. If people would say, we screwed this up, a lot of more people would be okay.
Your key word, the most important word you use, is the open wound. That's exactly what it is. Yep. It's an open wound with the American people. So, what can you do about it? What they're realizing is, federally, you can't do nothing about it, but state-wise, you can. So I don't know if you guys saw what Florida's planning on doing. Did we have that story in here or not? Maybe I just missed a page of it. They're looking at...
Addendum 3.
Addendum 3. Okay, so this is the one. Addendum 3 is... Did I mess this one up again? Okay, Addendum 3. Addendum 3, Florida investigating Fauci for potential physical and monetary harms to residents during COVID following Senate hearing. So Florida realized maybe the federal government can't do anything about it, but we can. We can do something about it. So the Attorney General, James Uthmeier, which is a heavyweight, this guy's going to get used to this guy's name. He's gonna do some stuff. Announced he is opening an investigation to Dr. Anthony Fauci's following Fauci's decision to invoke his Fifth Amendment right and not answer any questions during Wednesday's congressional hearing. Fauci's lack of candor to Congress is unbelievable. My office is launching an investigation into Dr. Anthony Fauci. It's past time we get the truth of what happened during COVID. Uthmeier wrote on X, the inquiry will focus on what Fauci knew, when he knew it, and how he misled the American people, and will examine the physical and monetary harms to Floridians that may have resulted from his deceptions. Uthmeier cited revelations published by Rand Paul's Fauci's internal notes written on the government computers during his time in NIAID. 1 February 2020 entry shows Fauci privately discussing the case fertility rate of 0.2 to 0.3 with other CDC Director Tom Frieden. Yet a month later in congressional testimony, Fauci pegged mortality rate at 1%, calling it 10 times more lethal than the flu. Ted Cruz said Fauci deliberately lied to the American people over and over again and should go to jail. So this is the part where if someone wants to go after, by the way, hours afterwards, him and his wife were caught walking outside and people were saying things to them and he was telling them to F off, I think.
He said F off to someone that was talking to him.
Yeah, he was on the phone with somebody and telling them to F off. So, Tom, what is the likelihood that if Florida goes after him, a state goes after him, more states go after him, that eventually it comes down to something like closing that open wound?
I now think that we are crossing 90% chance that he will be convicted of something somewhere.
You're at 90%?
Now, let me tell you, convicted of something somewhere, and I'll tell you why I think that. And by the way, I think it would be...
Pull up the Kalshi numbers as well.
He's 85 years old, or 82 years old, one or the other. I think he's 85.
He's old.
Yep. So
he's a healthy 85-year-old, though, too, respectfully. Yeah.
Correct. We've been vaccinated multiple times. I'm surprised he's still with us. The reason I say that, I think he will be convicted under a plea deal by someone somewhere, and I believe it'll be one of the states that gets angry enough about the open wound they still have, number one, and number two, Pat, this hearing did, look at that, up to 32%.
Can we pull up the latest report that's active? Can we pull up the latest report of being active? Because, and that thing was at 0, then went to 10 when you showed me, Tom, then 20, now 32%.
So I think there will be a procedural a success by Rand Paul in that he will be found guilty in committee of contempt of Congress, number one. Number two, I believe one of the states, and Florida is laying the groundwork, and by the way, Florida has not been idle on this. Ron DeSantis, God bless him, he has been behind the scenes with the state attorney general preparing the case on behalf of the people of the great state of Florida. And he's been on that. So this is that Florida didn't just wake up with this hearing. They've been on it, because Ron DeSantis has been taking shots, since he was the bold governor that stepped out and said, UV beaches, I'm not closing them. I'm not doing it. If there was a moment, Florida, but then he stepped back from it. And so I believe a state like Florida is going to get something, and they're going to get it to the end, and he's going to have to plea. The minute he pleads, I think other red states will follow. But I'm at 90% that after those hearings and the contempt and everything we see, somewhere it's going to happen. Now, it is a long shot to get what Josh Hawley and Rand Paul are after, which is the pardon was overbroad and non-specific. Not AutoPen, Vinny, but I would love to get that because that nullifies it.
Yeah.
Can we look at this real quick? Can you go a little bit higher? So check this out. So who will be charged with a federal crime? Charged, not convicted. Charged, which is obviously
federal crime.
Exactly. Go a little bit high. Is that the top list? Is Kathy's at the top? Who do they have? John Brennan, 46%. Letitia James, 31, Jack Smith, 29, Cassidy Hutchinson, 25, Ilhan Omar, 25, Peter Strzok, 22, Fauci, 17%.
But up 9.
And Newsom is only at 16% right behind Fauci. That is unbelievable. Yeah, he's up 9, moving up. And how much money has been put up on this one here on Kalshi? Go a little bit lower to see if it's real or not. No, just go to the bottom left. It'll show you. Close up Fauci. Go all the way to the bottom left. Close up Fauci. You go a little bit higher. I think it's like 2.2 million. Okay, so yeah, maybe
go to the top and see the
refresh
chart,
the page. Refresh the page. It'll typically, if you go a little bit lower without
there,
going
1.2
past
million bucks.
1.2 million bucks. Okay. All right, Vinny.
But
real money.
And here's my question. Well, I have two things to say. What's to stop the next Dr. Fauci from happening? Because it just seems like you could come in, lie and deceive everybody. 1 million people could die. You could sicken all these freaking people. By the way,
Tell me what you mean by that.
like here's my thing. If another president comes in that's a Democrat and a virus comes out and it leaks and does whatever and they have connections to it, all the president has to do is preemptive pardon him and he'll walk free.
But here's the difference. So to me, to say the next guy, you're going 3 steps ahead. Step number 1 is accountability now, which what happened Tuesday or Monday, whatever the day was, is a phenomenal good start. This is good.
Right.
Let's be optimistic, Vinny. Let's not be pessimistic. The good news is what? This is increasing. More people feel the way you do. There's accountability. States are taking action. This is positive. Future looks bright. This is good. When we get smarter now, because remember, previous to this pandemic that happened, what was the previous one? How many years prior to that one? How many years prior to
the SARS?
Yeah.
Meaning we're not trained on this. This isn't something that, you going to become a president overnight. President Trump had no clue what was going on with the COVID vaccine, if you remember that.
Yeah, and who was
the whole pandemic's like, everybody was kind of going through it. So I think this is a good sign that they're going through this. Of course, these guys are going to have that kind of power to do a lot of different things. But now the American people know to trust the next person less and hold them accountable in a different way. I think this is a good direction. This is progress. Let's give credit to progress.
Can I make one
Sure, of course.
a fun fact? Fauci quietly joined the scientific advisory board of an mRNA startup called Vaccine Company. You could look this up in 2023, shortly after leaving government. So in September 2024, Biden administration awarded the company a reported $28 million government contract. Then 2 months ago in May, Eli Lilly acquired the company in a deal worth up to $1.55 billion. So the company has kept a low profile, but its CEO, Susan Silberman, previously served as Pfizer's global president of vaccine, which is, kind of weird. So my question is this: how much did Fauci make from serving on that scientific advisory board, and did he receive any financial benefit from the Eli Lilly acquisition? Those are. There's so much, Pat, connected with money and favors, and
Vinny,
crazy.
The more they talk about this, the worse it is for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and the
what
less
you just
Fauci, that's my point. The fact that Fauci did not put up an argument, it helps exactly what Pat's saying is that, people need to hear the truth. And part of the problem with the truth is that you always had Fauci who was out there with his scientism speak. And so it was very difficult for people to get the truth. The fact that he could not say a word, he wanted to, he was in tears. They are tearing, the fact that he realized, if I say anything, I'm putting myself in jeopardy. I'm not putting up a defense for everything that I did, even though it's all out there now. That is a huge positive because it helps turn the tide. People who were counting on Fauci to come and say some kind of defense for everything.
And he didn't.
He didn't.
Yep. That's actually
in one of the most pressure-filled situations, most important moments in this entire post-COVID, whatever you want to call it, fiasco. He said nothing.
And there's clips of him saying that. Ask me any question.
Yeah, I'll set the record straight.
Right. That's right.
He
Adam
said nothing.
Adam, thoughts?
Well, I've got a lot of thoughts on this. The number one thing is Fauci failed America. There's a lot of common sense Americans who maybe were on the fence with Fauci. And after that debacle, sitting in front of the hearing, when he pleaded the fifth over 100 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth, reminiscent of the Chappelle show, the average American goes, unbelievable. This is insane to me. So I have a couple F words for Fauci. Because if this was a report card, Fauci would get an F. And there's a lot of people that want to say F Fauci, but here are my F words for Fauci failing America, which has the highest mortality rate during COVID of any country in the world. So another F word is fake news. It was trust the science, trust the experts. He was self-dealing the entire time. How much faith and trust did the American public lose in the institutions? Completely eroded. Fauci's finances, you just touched on this. How many millions of dollars did Fauci enrich himself during this? All because he wanted fame. He became the most famous person in the world. In his little diary, he's getting interviewed by Julia Roberts, the pretty woman, and he's the sexiest man in the world, all about fame. Another F is John Fetterman, who seems to be one of the only sane Democrats at this point, basically saying, you fooled me, Fauci. You got me. I actually believed in you. I trusted you, and you fooled me. And the last thing is this, is the future. You know, we say the future looks bright. Bernie Moreno, the congressman out of Ohio, said this, 50 years you've been here, and it all ends in disgrace, which reminds me of one of my favorite quotes of all time, which was Jack Bogle from Vanguard, when he says, when I die, I hope my name and my legacy stays intact. At the end of the day, Fauci, his name is going to be shamed. Just like the Hitlers of the world, the Madoffs of the world, the Stalins of the world. How many of those do you see?
And you know,
Fauci
that's such a point.
will be known as a fraud.
Such a good point, because it's not like your last name is Jones or Jackson or Johnson, which is like no one's. For the rest of your life, anybody's last name that's Fauci, you're going to bring you back to the season.
Great point.
Yep.
For the rest, what a great point. For the rest of your life, we're going to remember Fauci, and we're going to have, that's going to be negative link to you. Negative link to you. And that's his legacy of what he did. Well deserved of what he did to all the people.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Sure,
I know you want to move on. If the Democrats, like if Fauci was if Fauci was a Republican and a Republican president gave him a preemptive pardon for crimes against humanity, what would have happened? What would have happened to the country?
It's not about what would have happened to the country.
What happened to him?
You know, I went back and looked at who has gotten preemptive pardons. You know who the list is?
Who?
I think Ford gave it to Nixon, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Tom, is that correct? Can you fact check me real quick? Who are the highest ranking officials that ever got a preemptive pardon like Fauci got? I think Ford gave it to Nixon. There was the Secretary of State for President Bush after, Oliver North, Iran-Contra. I think Senior, he gave it to somebody. I may be wrong, but just check it. Richard Nixon, he got it from Ford. Okay, so that's because of all the Watergate scandals. Mark Milley got it from Biden. Fauci is the third highest ranking one. There you go. 1992 Secretary of Defense, Casper Weinberger. And then you had Bush gave it to also Robert McFarlane, National Security Advisor. And then Biden also gave it to Liz Cheney. Fauci is the first person in his position to get the preemptive pardon like the one that he got, because they knew this guy was guilty.
And by the way, compare COVID to the Iran-Contra, because Cap Weinberger and Robert McFarlane were both pardoned as part of Iran-Contra.
Nothing. And by the way, as crazy as it sounds, weird fun fact, 4.5 years ago when I was looking at buying this property, the 11 acres, the guy that was a realtor took me and I met with the guys that knew about the property. This was a CIA DOD property where Oliver North did his Iran-Contra on this exact 11 acres that we have. And the director of the airport had to come and tell me this was a CIA DOD property. It's funny, when I brought Bustamante and a couple other CIA guys, they're always telling me, this looks like a perfect airport for CIA. I'm like, well, it kind of was many years ago.
Yeah, our gardener said he dug up 4 AK-47s and a skull of a Contra.
Yeah,
so
I mean, where do you think we make our money
really
from?
happened.
Any burn bags or anything?
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, let's go to the next story.
This is a CIA starter set.
Next story I want to get into is Iran escalation tying with what Hamas just did. Iran launched renewed missile attacks as U.S. and Saudi strike Tehran-backed militia in Iraq. And just the moment you think this is slowing down, it just gets nastier and nastier. And so Iran launched a barrage of missiles at American forces in the Middle East. This is July 29th. On Wednesday, as the U.S. partnered with Saudi to strike Tehran-backed militias in neighboring Iraq, killing at least 20 fighters and 6 Iranian advisors. The flare-up on multiple fronts after several days of relative calm raised the risk of a return to an all-out war and underscored the difficulty of winding down a 5-month conflict that has jolted the world economy. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said it fired ballistic missiles at Jordan's Muwafaq Salti Air Force Base, a key U.S. military hub. Jordan's military said 5 missiles were intercepted with no casualties. Fox News reporter said Trump told them use vulgarities that the U.S. will hit hard. And then at the same time, Trump launches U.S. airstrikes. We saw that. So, Tom, seeing this, Snyder, both of you guys, seeing this, any progress being made, or is it just getting nastier?
No, I don't see progress now, and I don't see statements of progress coming from the president. The president is very exasperated by the negotiations. He's had great people negotiating. He's exasperated. And now we've got this military, and by the way, it was Adam that said, I don't trust the ceasefire because I don't trust any paper that's signed by Iran's side. And Adam was right. Mm-hmm. And here's what happened. They start doing things. And I'm concerned about the escalation because now, and I'm gonna flip this to Jeff, who's got something on this that he found that I hadn't seen yesterday. And that is, you've got these missiles now. It's like us. How is Iran getting itself back together? It's aiming for Jordan. It's aiming for Saudi. And you've got the rest of the Middle East going, holy crap, this is getting worse. And Pat, that's the thing that I see. I see that other people are getting drawn into it. And it's not just Big Brother, the United States, going after Iran. At some point in time, the other people that knew Iran was the bad guy on the block, but just kind of tolerated it and kind of held it in check. It's like, how are they getting after it? How are they firing these missiles? Where are they getting the navigation and the targeting intelligence? We know the Russians are whispering to them and giving them targeting intelligence because the Russians are still pissed off that we were whispering to Ukraine and giving Ukraine targeting intelligence to launch rockets the other way into Russia with that war. And so now the Russians are back on the other side. Turnabout is fair play, comrade, because I will tell the Iranians where all of your shit is in Jordan.
I think, I'm going to disagree a little bit, Tom. I think there is progress. I think it's difficult to see. First of all, that Saudi Arabia joined the U.S. again. The more pressure that's applied, the more you see these Gulf states, instead of trying to bend Trump's ear to end this thing. We got to get this thing over. We got to get oil flowing. Instead, they're saying, you know what? We're actually going to join you because I think they see incremental progress that maybe we don't necessarily see. I think the strategy here, again, they have not been clear about the strategy or what this is really about. I still think it's about China and the Cold War. I think the ultimate red line here is not the nuclear program. It's the control of the Strait of Hormuz for the long run. And hopefully the fall of the Iranian regime, which I still think is possibility. And I think that's why the Saudis and the UAE too, the UAE is heavily involved in this on the U.S. side too. I think what the idea here is, instead of an all-out conflict, instead of just invading Karg Island and going from there, bombing the crap out of everything, this is a pressure campaign. And the pressure campaign whose goal is to separate the IRGC from the civilian leadership. Because like you said, the civilian leadership will say one thing that looks like they're trying to find an off-ramp to the war, and then the IRGC will start fighting back. I think there is a pressure campaign to drive a wedge between at least those two factions, if they're not other factions, and it's working. It's working to the point where the Saudis say, you know what, maybe we're going to join the side who wins here. And I'm not saying this is going to be done with imminently. I'm saying that it does appear to be fractioning the Iranian leadership as much as they can possibly have an Iranian leadership. And that the ultimate goal here is to separate those two completely so that the IRGC loses all of its ability to affect the outcome of the war, the outcome of Iran. And eventually what emerges, or at least what we hope emerges, is a more moderate faction of Iranian government that is actually trustworthy enough to make a peace deal. I think that's what they're working toward, and I think they are making progress to it. It's just painfully slow and incremental.
Where are those missiles coming from, do you think?
That's China. I mean, we all know it. Let's just say it. There was reports all over the media yesterday, day before, I forget what it was, this week, that the Chinese are supporting shoulder launch, or they're likely to be supplying shoulder launch missiles.
And 3 weeks ago, we found that they were sending the raw material, and we named the chemical on this podcast, and we had evidence and receipts that we brought forward. Remember this, Pat? That China was sending the dry chemical that's necessary to build, rocket propellant. Yeah. It literally has no other real commercial use other than to make rocket propellant, and there's big cargo ships full of it we're heading to Iran. So what's going on?
Well, Trump made that maybe a couple months ago. He said that, when there was a ship full of military goods or hardware or, precursor
military goods.
Right.
Precursor material.
Are you guys talking about the same China that sent, because they're sending missiles there, is this the same China that sent COVID here in 2020? No, I'm being that same country.
That's a different kind of a missile.
But
it's the same idea,
but it got
right?
Here.
It's the
killing.
same idea.
Yeah.
It's not like they hate America or they want to be bigger than America.
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
It's a Cold War. In a Cold War, you expect your adversary to do everything they possibly can to
Shouldn't be surprised.
I'll give you a closing point on this. Our arms were being tested in Ukraine when we sent some of our newer stuff, ground stuff, over there in Ukraine was testing against Russian soldiers. Now China is testing some of their stuff against us through Iran.
Yeah, let me get to the next story. And Adam, I'm going to come to you with this one here. Hamas agrees to complete disarmament under historic Gaza agreement. This is Fox News. Trump announced a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas.
Again,
and
progress, right, Pat?
Yeah, I agree.
Progress.
All other armed groups in Gaza, brokered by his Board of Peace alongside mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey. Today, the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step towards lasting peace and security, Trump said on Truth Social. Multi-phased agreement represents a major milestone in implementing Trump's 20-point plan and will pave the way for a new Palestinian government in Gaza with a new police force established with support from International Stabilization Force. Israel forces will withdraw from the region as the disarmament process moves towards structured phases. Under the agreement, Gaza will finally be able to hands of a new Palestinian government that serves its people, Trump said. The threat that emerged from Gaza on October 7 will not be allowed to rebuild. The Board of Peace said the next phase will focus on implementation, with Gaza beginning a phased transition towards full authority while accelerating efforts to establish the rule of law, improve security, and advance humanitarian conditions. I have a lot to say on this. Adam, your thoughts on this story. I know you're in Israel right now, so maybe a part of it I want to get is while you're out there and this announcement's breaking, how are people also reacting to this story there? Are they optimistic, pessimistic, or on standby?
Well, I'm in Tel Aviv right now. I think the feeling on the ground here is cautiously optimistic. They've been living under missiles and rockets for years now, so they don't exactly trust Hamas. But here's the good news. Here's what I've seen firsthand. Going to Jerusalem. Yesterday, I was on the border of Syria. I was on the border of Lebanon. I was the border of Jordan. I walked by the Sea of Galilee. I've seen the following here in Israel. Here's a good example. I've seen Jews, Muslims, and Christians living in peace and harmony within Israel. And I think there's a relative crossing of the fingers and hoping that something can happen in Gaza and potentially in the West Bank. The coexistence here is actually magical. People think there's some sort of apartheid here. I had a Muslim taxi driver. I had a Christian tour guide. I have a Jewish person check me in the hotel. You can coexist. And if you want another example, look at what's going on in the UAE. But there's three things that I've realized Bibi and the government want to do with Gaza. And it's three things. It's number one, disarm. And that's basically what the Board of Peace is talking about. Number two, it's demilitarize. They say there will be peace when Hamas puts down their guns. And until then, there's no peace. And the last thing is de-radicalize. I've talked to many soldiers that have been to Gaza, that have been to certain places all around the world, and they go into the bedrooms of kids' bedrooms. And in the bedrooms, there's rocket launchers, missiles, and they open the books. And of course, there's the Quran there, respect. And they open the books and the math books, and I swear, hand on the Bible, hand to God, they say, here's how they do math. If you have 3 Jews and you kill 1 Jew, how many Jews do you have left? Well, you have 2 Jews left. Great, that's their math here. So there's a hope here that they come around. There's Palestinians living in Israel who say, I would never go back to living in the West Bank. I would never go back to living under Hamas control because life is pretty damn good here in Israel. So here's my hope and prayer, and I'll tell you this. Look at what's going on in the UAE. Gaza could be Singapore right now, could be a rich country. I wish you could see what I'm looking at. Gaza's 20 minutes away from where I'm at right now. The beaches are beautiful. You're on the most incredible border of the sea. I hope and pray that they realize that you can focus on GDP, gross domestic product, and not GDT, gross domestic terrorism, and have peace and prosperity for your people. And that will happen when the Palestinian people and Hamas want to live with a beautiful opportunity rather than destroy the state of Israel. Because here's the news. Israel isn't going anywhere. Israel is the bad man on the block at this point, and they want nothing but peace. And I hope and pray that that's what happens with Trump's Board of Peace here in Israel.
And by the way, the question I got, and Jeff, I'm going to come to you with this one. I'm curious. If you read this thing here, Hamas agrees to completely disarmament under historic Gaza agreement, okay? And bring in a real democracy type of thing that they want to do there. Not an easy thing to do. It's going to be very complicated. If we use this as an example case study for Iran, do you think Trump is now at a point where the only thing he sees going with Iran is the elimination of IRGC and also replacing with a normal democracy where the Iranian people can be free? Do you think in his mind that's also success and that's also what they want to do here? Or no, that's a much bigger animal, you're going with that's going to be more complicated than Hamas?
No, that's what they're going for. I guarantee it.
Why do you believe that?
Because it would have to be worth it, right? Why launch something like this that it has the potential to wreck the entire global economy?
The memorandum of understanding, some people would say, well, he got to a point that if they were willing to keep that, maybe that wasn't a vision of the regime change. You're saying deep down inside he still wants that.
Yeah, I don't think that memorandum of understanding was ever going to be. I think that was a ploy to get oil prices to go back down, to get the economy flowing again. I think their goal from the beginning, and I've said this from the beginning, was regime collapse. And I think they think it's attainable. And the roadmap is, if this Gaza agreement plans out, that's the roadmap. Because what Trump has been basically doing here is good cop, bad cop. The bad cop is, you want to continue to do what you're doing, I'm going to kill you. And you can't stop me. I'll just keep. He has shown time and time again he has the resolve to keep it up and keep it up and keep it up. Everyone says he tacos. Where do you see that? Do you actually see that anywhere in Iran? He keeps doing it. So the bad cop routine is, you keep opposing us, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be dead. The good cop is, if you join us, if you join the Western community, you will be a prosperous society, and using all the Trumpian language. You can't believe how great it's going to be. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be huge. And he's not wrong. So the idea here is, the carrot is, join us. Put down your arms, become a peaceful, loving society. We'll embrace you. You'll live in prosperity, in peace, and safety. You'll be able to raise your families and go to school, everything that we take for granted in the West. That doesn't just apply to Gaza. It applies, I think that is their roadmap to Iran. And I think the reason why this conflict is still going and still escalating is because they believe it's still achievable.
Do you agree with them?
Here's the one thing that I'm questioning, and Adam, because you're there. From what I've seen, Gaza was completely destroyed. Where is Hamas? I'm curious. I thought the goal was to destroy Hamas. They should be all gone. Where's Hamas? What leadership? I thought mission accomplished. Killed all the freaking tunnels and everything. I've seen videos where it's just completely leveled. Adam, who are they negotiating with?
They're probably in Spain.
I'm very curious. Well, that's what I'm being genuinely inquisitive. I don't know, because what I thought, it's a victory, meaning you killed, a lot of innocent lives were gone, but I thought Hamas was gone.
Well, can I answer that?
Yeah, of course. I'm asking you.
Sure. Well, how do you kill an ideology? The reality is they decimated Gaza. They took out all their leadership. They took out a lot of their military capabilities. But these are people who've been indoctrinated for decades to not have a peaceful, prosperous society, to destroy Israel. So how do you change that? I can tell you this: Israel is a lot more concerned about Hezbollah to the north or the IRGC out in Iran than they are in Gaza. The running joke here is that it's suicide bombers and terrorists in sandals. But I had lunch today. It's almost 6 o'clock at night here in Israel. And I had lunch today with Trey Yangst, who's, you might recognize him from Fox News. He's their chief correspondent.
Yep.
He said, listen, I said, what's going on here, man? And he said, look, here's my take. And he speaks to Trump all the time, like literally has Trump's number, calls him. And he says, people respect my honesty. He said, here's what's going on in Iran specifically, and I'll shift over to Hamas and Gaza. He says, you have the IRGC and you have the moderates. And in Iran, they're jockeying for position. And the reality is, you don't know who's going to win this escapade here. IRGC is fanatical. They do not want to lose control, whereas the moderates are basically saying, can we just figure this thing out? That's essentially what's going on in Gaza. You have the average Palestinian who just wants a normal life. They look at the rest of the world and say, please, can we join the rest of the world, where Hamas has this deep sown ideology that they won't break. So how do you negotiate with that? Here's my opinion with Trump. I could be wrong. This is why I think Trump wants total victory. Who did Trump kill from Iran that has the most importance in Iranian IRGC society? Two people. He killed the Ayatollah, and he killed Soleimani. That's basically their pope and their national treasure, right? PBD, is that right?
Yes.
So I think the way that Trump is looking at this, that he thinks that unless he actually decimates the IRGC, they're going to try to kill him or try to kill his family. Why do I feel that? Why am I so convinced of that? It's because they actually attempted to do that. Do you know there's two people sitting in American jails right now? One guy's name is Asif Merchant, who's a Pakistani national. The other guy's name is Farhad Shaken, as an Afghani national living in Iran, who are in jail right now because they tried to kill Trump. So you talk about geopolitics. For me, there might be a portion of this that's deeply personal, where Trump says, if I don't eliminate this regime, this IRGC, and this horrible ideology, they might not only kill me, they might come after my family. So it's personal, but there's also geopolitical. And unless the moderates win in Iran and in Gaza and in Lebanon and all around the world, the fanaticals could basically come back again. And that's the hope, is that the moderates beat the fanaticals within those countries that have those countries hostage.
Well, how do the moderates win? That's the question. The moderates win when Trump gives them a realistic option on both sides. Realistic option is, number one, you will keep opposing us, we're going to blow you out. We're going to blow you up. You're going to be gone. We're going to eliminate you if you keep opposing us. You make that realistic, which I think Trump has already made his mind clear. And the other part of it is where this Gaza deal, if it goes through, you're right, Vinny, who the hell are they negotiating with?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But the other part of it is you make that, for the moderates, you give them a realistic pathway to prosperity. Because you're right, Adam, what you just said, most people in Gaza just want to live their lives like the rest of us do. And so if you give them a realistic pathway, you oppose us, you die, you join us, you have a safe, prosperous society. If he can make that case realistic to the people in Gaza, to the people in Israel, to the people in Iran, there is a path forward. But, you know, if only it was that easy.
Well, how familiar are you guys in Shia Islam with this whole 12th imam? Are you familiar with this concept? I'm learning this while I'm in Israel. We want peace and prosperity. We want to have a long, beautiful life. There's a faction of the IRGC that has this Shia ideology that they want to die. They want to blow up the world. So how do you negotiate with somebody that says, oh yeah, I'll kill you, I'll kill myself, and I'll take everyone out with it? That's the challenge right now. Is that how do you negotiate with people that are willing to die and kill their own people?
So you don't negotiate with those people. You just eliminate them until the vast majority of the population sees that it's a dead end.
But unfortunately,
I mean, that's the downside.
This is for me why Hamas is different than Iran, because Iran's got actual power.
Yes.
Hamas doesn't have the kind of power Iran has. And if you guys remember, I don't know when this was, a few months ago when I became critical, no, this was a year ago when I became critical of Reza Pahlavi.
Yes.
And I said a few words, and a couple guys came up, just shut the fuck, we got this, you don't need to fuck. Remember all those messages that would come up.
And you know, I got them.
I sat down, and believe it or not, what ended up happening with me is, I sat down and one day I come home, my dad is sitting there, he's like, tell me what you're doing. I said, Dad, I don't think this is the right guy that's going to get the job done, right? This is my dad. And he says, you may be right, but what if he does? What if he does? And I got some calls from friends and relatives from a man that I respect a lot. His son gave me a message saying, my hope is that you guys can unify and find a way to do things. And I reached out to try to say something, and I was on the show, one Iranian TV show that I was on, and I told the guys that I reached out, haven't heard back. Oh, who do you think you are from to reach out? I said, oh, okay, this is where you guys are at? No problem. We got it. Leave us alone. Really? Okay, no problem. I could have played a role for you, but no problem. I left it alone. Do you know how my phone is blowing up right now with what types of messages? These are the messages my phone is blowing up with.
Go ahead.
Pat, this is one of the biggest supporters of Reza Pahlavi who criticized me in a video that went viral all over the place. Pat, I want to reach out to you and tell you that I come to realize that you are right about RP.
Weird.
And he goes into breaking it down and where he's at now, what he wants to do. I got one of the biggest media guys contacting me. Hey, Patrick, let's put a big event together in New York. Please consider putting this together. Bring in power players. We may do so. We may do so. But where it is today, for me, this is an event that was taking place, Lindsey Graham's funeral. You can see Reza Pahlavi to the left is trying to get close to Trump. And this was one of the clips that was going viral. There's Reza Pahlavi to the left. You will see in a minute. Right there. You see him right there, and he's seeing Trump walking out. You can pause it right there. I think he had a meeting with Netanyahu. Look, he's doing his part behind closed doors. He's doing his part. He is trying to do his part. But something's not landing with Trump. Something is simply not landing with Trump. And to not be able to get Trump to be there, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to need his support to go out there and do something with this. So, I don't know. Sometimes you hope the diplomacy takes place and it takes place more than your ego, your pride, and I hope that happens. But I've never, the team that he has around him, I don't know what they feed this man to make him believe that he walks on water, to not be able to do certain things. I think he can play a very important role. But with this Iran situation where they're going right now, you need a figurehead. Another guy to me is like, well, why don't we do it without a figurehead? Let's just do it like, a movement. I'm like, no, you need a face. You need a voice. You need somebody ahead of it. I stepped away to say, go. I won't criticize, but we'll see. We'll see what's going to be happening. This is it. This article, Reuters says, regime change inside Reza Pahlavi's faltering bid to lead Iran. The son of Iran's last Shah says Islamic Republic is on the brink of collapse, and he is the bridge to the democratic future, but he's contending with violence by some supporters, discontent among donors, and rejecting by the Trump administration. If you can't win Trump over, the next administration is not going to be on your side. Let me say this one more time. If you cannot win the president over, you have never had a leader during your 47, 48 years of trying to do this that is more capable of you being able to bring freedom back to Iran than this guy. You have to figure out a way to get in front of him, not the other way around. You're not a prince. You're a man today, because Iran's not a monarchy. You were a prince in 1978, maybe the first 2 weeks of January of 79. Since then, you've not been a prince. You're just Reza Pahlavi. To everybody else you are, but to the loyalist monarchists, which I have a lot of respect for, let me tell you, the loyalist monarchists also have some of the nastiest people out there. Some of the nastiest people, not all of them, but they have their own 10 to 20% that are just as bad as the IRGC fanatical type of people. They're very, very similar. You know, like the woke left and the woke right? It's the fanatical IRGC and the fanatical monarchy. They got a lot in common. God forbid you question anything. They can't do it. But more of them are coming to their senses. And more of them are sitting there saying, maybe we need a different route. Anyways, Adam, I think you wanted to say something, but I want to get to the next story. So 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, this is a little anecdotal, but everything you just said, I've experienced here in Israel. I can't tell you how many people come up to me like, hey, what's up? Big fan of the show. This one lady came up to me. I swear. She goes, how do I know you? I go, I don't know. How do I know you? She goes, you're a podcaster or something? I go, yeah. She goes, what podcast? I go, PBD podcast. She goes, with Patrick Bet-David? I go, yeah. She goes, that guy. You know, she goes, I was a big fan of Reza Pahlavi. I didn't like what he was saying about RP. I didn't like that. I said, well, what do you think now? She goes, I have to be honest. He's a nice guy, but he's not the leader. He's not strong enough. Nope. He's not strong enough. So I go, are you saying that PBD was right? She goes, PBD was right. And I go, okay, thank you. I'll let Pat know. But I'm experiencing that myself here in the Middle East. You have to be a badass gangster in order to win here in the Middle East. Nope. That's the reality.
He's a sweet
he seems like a nice guy,
who's been
but
protected.
he ain't that dude.
You called him Jeb Bush. I remember that. You called him Jeb Bush, and I think that's probably the most
And
accurate.
Jeb Bush is a nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
He's also accomplished and successful, but he's not the guy to do this. Yeah, you
hey,
called it from the
PBD,
beginning.
please clap. Please clap for Jeb Bush. Please clap.
Yeah, please.
You remember that one.
He's got better hair than Jeb
You're
Bush.
so funny. All right, let's go to the next story. I'm going to get to the next story. So, look, there's a reason why Florida is Florida, because these guys, they're good at what they do. DeSantis is like nonstop, common sense, working out a bunch of different things. Let me give you one of them here that is interesting. Parents in Florida are being given the choice to opt out their kids in or out of AI tools in the class. By the way, this is a sick story, which is great for the future to be bright. Before I get into it, for some of you guys that don't yet have your future looks bright, the last couple of weeks we've been putting the future looks bright shoes. It's been selling I love how it's around the world now, like 50 plus countries of people that are picking up these shoes. I'm wearing it today. I was at the doctor's office yesterday. One guy shows up to me, he says, hey, let me see the shoes. Where the future? And he says, look what I got. I got my Future Looks Bright Yeti. And he says, hey, Pat, can you and Tom sign it? It was hilarious. Good-looking guy. Phenomenal guy. He shout out. You know who you are. But by the way, before we do that, I want you to watch this video. Go for it. Connor, if you got it, plus
when we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless.
There you go. Go to vtmerch.com to place an order. and make sure your sizes are there. Okay, that's the biggest thing because everybody says, Pat, we got a whole new shipment, so a lot of new sizes are there. Go to vtmerch.com, place the order for yourself, your son, your husband, or one of your coworkers. Let's get into the story. Parents in Florida being given choice to opt their kids in or out of AI tools in classes. Parents will not have the choice to opt out their kids out of using artificial intelligence instructional tools in classrooms, setting under a new rule being considered by the Florida Department of Education. The proposed changes to this internet safety policy would set minimum requirements for schools districts to adopt regarding the use of AI for educational purposes. Tom, why is this such a big deal, and do you support it?
I support it, and below the surface, there's a bunch of things. Look at what they're...
Can we run a poll about how many parents would like to see this happen in their states? Do you support of the state allowing you to opt in or opt out, or do you not care? Let's just run a poll. Go ahead, Tom.
Fantastic. Well, for everybody here at the table that's got kids, or like Vinny, you may have nieces or nephews, or your friends have kids, here's what parents may get. Dear parent, we're going to be using an AI tool. This is the AI tool that will be used. This is how much time that will be spent in class with it. This is the instructional use and topics for it. And we'd also like to know, do you approve of that? And would you like to limit the amount of time your child uses for any of these tools? If you opt in, you can limit the time that we use. And we're also saying that the tools will not replace, quote, the professional judgment of teachers or, quote, the primary right of parents to direct the upbringing, education of their children. And the rules forbid tools that are subject students undisclosed behavior monitored, social scoring, or psychological profiling. So this is fantastic. So if you got that as a parent, Pat, hey, here's the tool. Do you want to opt in? Here's the list, opt in, opt out. And then also, here's the amount of time. And you may say, you can look, they can use it to do the research on the science project, but I don't want them using it all day. Only what's necessary for the lesson. It's I think it's great, and it puts the power, and more importantly, it demands answers from the parents. Now the question is, will they be able to get these yapping hyenas called the teachers union to actually cause the teachers to follow it in the classroom? That's going to be the question, is can the state of Florida work successfully with teachers union? You remember how much fun teachers unions are, Pat. You've dealt with a couple. So they have to enforce it, but the parents are going to be able to put it all out there and get a very formalized form that they respond to.
No, I agree. I mean, no, this is the way education should work. It should, again, the proper process and proper procedure is parents first, school second. So if they would do more of this instead of trying to hide curriculum and hide methodology, and you're right, Tom, teachers unions are going to be difficult. When there was that story in the notes here about that upstate New York Salamanca school that was going to pilot program a AI sort of robot teacher, and of course that caused a big thing. This is the wave of the future. This is going to happen. So the way to lead it into the future is exactly this way, to give parents information ahead of time. I mean, not every parent's going to make an informed decision. They're going to be emotional, whatever. But if you give them more information about what you intend to do, what problem you're intending to solve with this technology, and how you intend to use it, it is far superior than just bearing it down deep into the curriculum, bearing it down deep into teachers' days, how they actually operate a classroom, and nobody knows until it's actually ensconced and everything in there. Because this is such a transformational technology, it needs to be upfront and transparent from the very beginning.
And by the way, I will tell you this, Tom. You know where I'm at with this. So let me ask you: if they reach out to you to opt in or opt out, what are you going to say?
I'm gonna go down the list of what they're using, and I'm gonna make my decisions. If it's for research purposes and pulling together a thing that saves time, I'm probably in. If it's actually running a model, like you give stuff and it runs the model faster, like making compounds or chemistry formulas, then I'm probably in. If it's commentary, like on reading and books, I'm probably out. I want my kid to read the book, and I want them to develop the commentary in their own words.
Are you pretty aligned with him on that?
Yeah, if it's used as an evaluation tool, then it's certainly, I think that's where it should be. Now, as far as instruction, you're right, anything about the commentary, no, we're not anywhere close to that. But as far as helping teachers or helping school districts evaluate the effectiveness of classrooms, teachers, processes, everything that goes into education, if it's a tool to help evaluate that, that's certainly a
Do you think it's more annoying to be a teacher today or 20 years ago? Is it harder today or 20 years ago?
Today.
I can speak from absolute an informed position because my wife's been a teacher for 30 years, and it is more difficult today, partly because of what parents expect the schools to do for discipline of their kids and really poor parenting, number one. And number two, you get a lot of interference from the government about what you can and can't teach. And Kim's going back to school next week, and one of the things they will be doing, Pat, is they will be doing shooter response training. Okay. And so you're living in a world where actually part of going back to school is the teachers, here's the tools, here's the lockdown, here's the things you have to work with for a live shooter. And all of that comes together to say it's very hard to be a teacher. And that's why New York wants to put robots in.
Yeah, I want to read this to you. I want to read this to you. College professor busted 32 out of 35 students using AI on a final after they all made the same lazy mistake. New York Post story. A professor snuck an extra test into a student's final exam prompt and revealed that 32 out of 35 failed using AI to complete their assignment. Jason Gibson, who teaches history at Alcorn State University, Mississippi, inserted instruction to place the word Madagascar somewhere in the response in a way that makes no sense in white ink, so any student copying the text into an AI bot would cause it to follow the invisible instruction. The result, 32 out of 35 students managed to shoehorn a mention of the African island nation into their essays about the Industrial Revolution. I explain to my students all the time that it's like compound interest in banking. Gibson, 34 years old, told the Post, when you're reading something, you're engaging with material, you're compounding knowledge, and you are robbing yourself on a daily basis by just putting a prompt into AI. The results were absurd and instantly exposed those who had cut and pasted the AI, unprecedented global connectivity, without reading the results back. To one student wrote, the digital age has created unprecedented global connectivity, much like a journey to Madagascar might have been once influenced by family visit. Another read, Madagascar floats sideways through the afternoon. Other mentions, including Madagascar's purple bicycle whispers to the ceiling, and Madagascar wore a toaster to a basketball game. Gibson was shocked to find the word in more than 90% of response. I had no clue that it would be 32 out of 35. He said, I was expecting maybe 10 or less. He got the idea from TikTok, where students have posted videos discovering white text in their own assignments. Kudos to this guy. How do you feel about what he did? What do you think about this teacher, Gibson Snyder?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Not just
I love this.
It's essentially asking people to self-identify and self-select. If you're a lazy student, what better way to reveal your laziness than just to copy and paste into AI bot? And you're going to see this not just in the classroom. You're going to see corporations and HR departments use this as a screening process. You don't want an employee who just does the absolute minimum and copying and pasting. So using these kinds of things to help identify what people are like, whether in the
I can tell you a true story about one of my teachers. We were in a class, and I was in high school, and there's like 25 kids in the class, and it wasn't a very big classroom, so we're pretty close together. Why is that important? Because when it came time to take a test, people would do this, Pat. You act like you're taking a test, and you have your hand on your forehead like this, if you see what I'm doing. I'm really looking right over there. So here's what the teacher did. He did odds and evens. He switched the odd and even questions on every other row of the class. So everybody in this row, all the people in front of me and behind me, we had the odd test. The people on our right and left had the even test. So if we're copying the ABCD, we're copying wrong because their questions were adjusted. So you had people that suddenly got every answer in a row wrong. And so the teachers have been trying for years to do things to ensure integrity in the classroom, and God bless them, and I love this guy at Alcorn State.
Pat, did you see what Elon said about school and AI? He was on this podcast, and he says, don't go to medical school. It's pointless. Listen,
let's see it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Optimists will be a better surgeon than the best surgeons. How long for that?
3 years.
3 years, okay.
Than any surgeon.
Yeah. And by the way, that's
I'd say 3 years at scale.
Yes.
Meaning there'll probably be more Optimus robots that are great surgeons than there are all surgeons on Earth.
All surgeons.
But that's an important statement in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
Because medicine, I mean,
I'm not like absolutely certain, but I'd say if you say like 4 years, I'd be absolutely
If it's 4 or 5 years, who cares?
Look, he's going to say it.
He's like,
3 years. Yes.
Better than
any.
He said 4 years, definitely.
I'd say if you like put a little margin on it,
my
better
niece,
than any human in 4 years.
Any human plastic surgery.
By 5 years, it's not even close.
I think your point was medicine is going to be effectively free. The best medicine in the world.
Everyone
is
will have
effectively
access to medical care that is better than what the president receives right now.
So don't go to medical school.
Yes.
Pointless.
Yeah.
Elon
I mean,
Musk.
unless you, but I would say that applies to any form of education. It's not like some, I do it for social reasons.
Do it for
That's
social
so
reasons.
Hey, I went to college. So Patsy,
So what do you do for a living? I'm a social worker. Really? No, I'm a cardiologist, but I'm doing it for social reasons.
So it's gonna be it's not gonna be like, hey, what college you go to? It's like, what robot do you have and what program is it running on? So that's coming from Elon.
Yeah.
5 years.
All right. Well, we'll see.
I got something for you,
Adam,
Todd.
go ahead.
Well, speaking from experience, you definitely don't want to cheat while you're in school. Not that I would ever do anything like that. Not that I would ever sneak notes into class or use Cliff Notes or maybe even write notes on my hands. But here's what I've learned, that if it was easy, everyone would do it. Right now, everyone put Madagascar on their test and they failed, because we're living no longer in the information age, it's the validation age. And I tell my nephew this all the time. I said, dude, you don't need social media yet. You're 13 years old. You don't need a phone yet. And you don't need to be using AI to get the answers. Find the answer yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're only cheating yourself if you actually don't know the information. My fear is this: we're going to have a generation of young kids looking down nonstop, have zero ability to basically figure things out themselves, the answers at the tip of their fingertips, and we're going to have, what's that movie that we always talk about?
Hold on, let me AI.
Idiocracy. Yeah, just idiots walking around that can't figure out things of themselves. So I hope that kids actually put in the work, get smarter, and not just rely on AI or social media or anything like that to get the answers.
Life-changing advice.
Thank
by
you, Adam.
Just like
You got it, sir.
life-changing, man. I mean, it's just, I don't know what to tell you. People's lives was just
By the way,
changed by-
Pat, I actually read that entire segment from the notes that I wrote in my hand.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe you. Okay, let's go to the next story. Next story I want to get to is, I got a few of them I want to get to, but I'm going to go to this one here. So, DeSantis signing bill requiring schools to teach accurate history of communism.
Oh.
So what does this mean? Accurate history of communism. DeSantis signed legislation on Wednesday requiring age and developmentally appropriate instruction in the history of communism in Florida schools beginning 2026-2027 school year. The curriculum will cover atrocities committed under communist regimes abroad, the increasing threat of communism in the United States, and the communist policies and practices of Cuba and Latin America. DeSantis said many universities across the country try to rehabilitate communism, and Florida will instead tell the truth and the evils of communism and unprecedented death toll in the 20th century. Florida Education Commissioner Manny Diaz Jr. said the bill ensures students learn history so that our students in Florida are not apt to repeat the history. Senator Jay Collins, who sponsored the bill, warned that we fought in the 80s that communism and socialism was dead and that we took our foot off the gas pedal, but they never went away. So, you know, before I come to you guys, when we first came here, we went and interviewed at a lot of different schools. We went to St. Andrews. We went to American Heritage in Boca, had a horrible experience with a lady named Cobos. I think her name was Patricia Cobos, something Cobos. Am I saying the name correctly, Tom?
Yeah, I think that's right, Patty.
Patty Cobos, yes. And had multiple meetings. I said, okay, we're never going to do anything with American Heritage. We took all our kids out. And then we looked at St. Andrews, had a very good experience with St. Andrews, but it was too far from us. And then eventually we went to, what's the local school, the big one? Prestonwood? What's the local? Pinecrest. We went to Pinecrest.
Pinecrest.
And
yep.
while we went to Pinecrest, I went for the interviews, and a lady sits in front of me, and I asked basic question, ma'am, what's this school's position on capitalism, socialism, and communism? I asked everybody the same question. The only one that gave me this answer was her. And she said to me, she said, well, we teach our kids the pros and cons of each economical system. I said, what's the pro of communism?
Yeah.
And so she's like, well, there's some benefits to each of these economical systems. I said, I understand that, but where do you guys lie? She says, well, no, our students need to know the pros and cons of communism, socialism, and capitalism. We want the kids to have a balanced understanding of all three. Let me tell you what month this is. Tom, what month would this have been? December of 2020-ish? You know, November of 2020-ish, because it's right before we're moving. Yeah, something like that. It's late 20, early 21.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're doing these interviews, and the moment the lady answered the question, and Pinecrest, the place everybody wants to put their kids there.
Yeah.
You know, so oh my God, Pinecrest this, Pinecrest that. I walked out. I said, Jen, there's no way in the world I want to put my kids in a place that are teaching pros
of communism
and cons of communism. And you think there are pros. I said, I'm out. That's all she had to say. I got in the car. I said, if the person that's recruiting kids and parents, and when you go to Pinecrest, you know how all of them are? Like, you are so lucky to do this and all this. I said, this is a unattractive thing. We were trying to get a couple of our kids into that place. I said, we're out. I would rather teach values and principles than even give a glimpse of pros of communism after how many tens of millions of people died because of communism. So how do you feel about the story? Because some people would sit there and say, well, don't you want to give freedom of speech? But this is not really a freedom of speech. It is forcing teachers, who we know 98% of English teachers are Democrats. They put their money on the left. We know what campaigns they support. A lot of these are Bernie people. Now they have to actually be forced to say bad things about communism and socialism. How do you force these socialist teachers to do that? You can't force them to do that. They're still going to put their own spin in it. No, Tom?
I think we're back to the comment about the teachers union and how do you control the yapping hyenas that pledge allegiance to the teachers union and the liberalism that goes with it, and the 95% donation rate to Democrat and liberal candidates. You know, Florida suddenly reminds me in a good way of the old Phil Hartman. Remember Phil Hartman on Saturday Night Live?
One of my favorites.
Remember when
he was great.
Remember when he was Frankenstein and they were having the debate about things and he's Frankenstein, he goes, fire, bad.
Yeah.
Well, finally Florida is taking a page out of that thing. This is communism bad and showing it. And I think what's interesting.
But that's not the question, though. Tom, I want you to focus on the question I'm asking. How do you force a group of deep-rooted socialists? Can you pull up that CNN poll that just came out yesterday that Snyder showed us that a third of Democrats now, what was the word, not accept or identify
as democratic socialists.
They identify as democratic socialists. They identify as democratic socialists. Was that a video or was it a
article?
It was an article.
Yeah,
is this
there.
one? Okay.
Yep.
A third of Democrats now identify as democratic socialists. Go a little bit lower. About a third of Democrats, zoom in a little bit if you could, identify as democratic socialists. They're some of the party's staunchest supporters, but many are also raring for a party overhaul at a time when the democratic socialists are seeing new momentum at polls. Tom, many school teachers are democratic socialists.
They're the driving force.
That's right. If a third of these guys identify as democratic socialists, I'm willing to bet a half of school teachers in public schools are democratic socialists. How do you get them to say bad things about socialism and communism?
It is incredibly difficult, and the state of Florida is about to have a head-on collision with the teachers union in Florida.
I agree.
They're going to have a head-on collision. And what they're going to have to do, the state needs a strong leader at the education level and at the governor level. We can't step back. DeSantis is taking the first steps, and we need fair debates and fair review of all of our candidates for governors so that the people can make a decision. Because one of the things we want the governor to say is, I will support this and I will go head to head with the teachers union, and teachers that don't want to comply with this are not following the policies of the state of Florida and have forfeited your opportunity to, hang on, Pat, hold a teaching credential issued by the state in the state of Florida. And you're going to have a head-on collision between that. It's a collision I welcome. It's going to create up a lot of dust, but you're going to have parents that I think are reacting to this in the right way, because what you're going to see is kids come home and say, well, they said this, this, and this. And conservative parents are going to, that don't have the resources to send their kids to private school or a parochial school or a conservative school, are going to say, WTF? Governor DeSantis said that this isn't happening. Well, Mom, the teacher just said this, this, and this about socialism, and it was Purple Hair Day.
It's going to be nasty.
It's going to be nasty. And so how do you do it? The state has to terminate or censure teachers that don't follow the law. But the teachers union is going to jump in front of it, so we have a war coming.
Yeah, I think it's going to be nasty because you can't get socialists and communists to not talk about socialism and communism. They can't help themselves.
They love it.
But that, Pat, I got to get in here because this is one of the things I talk about a lot. why do we have this problem to begin with? And I think that's what everybody is struggling in. Where is this popularity of socialism coming from? And so part of the explanation that's been put forward is we don't teach socialism in school. So if we teach socialism in school, the young people won't fall for it, and therefore we could. No, I think, again, that's misidentifying the problem here. The reason why socialism is rising in popularity is because what the Marxists are saying about the economic situation in this country and around the world resonates with most people. A lot of people, especially young people. The economy sucks, and nobody will say so. We talk about the affordability crisis. Guess what? It falls right into the Marxist rhetoric. If you know anything about what Marx is and what Marx actually said, what he said about capitalism was that capitalism always needs new markets to expand toward, because there's always this idea you need more and more and more profits. They call it infinite growth. Well, Marx said eventually you run out of markets, you run out of land to conquer, you don't have any more markets. So what is a capitalist going to do at that point? Well, they call it end-stage capitalism. You go online, you see end-stage capitalism or late-stage capitalism everywhere. What marks end-stage capitalism? When the capitalists have no more markets to exploit, because they call it exploitation, they start turning their exploitation inward. And when they turn their exploitation inward, that means that they cut the salaries and wages of all their employees. They exploit their employees now because they have no more markets to exploit. So the average young person on the street who has massive amounts of student loans, they're working at Starbucks, they can't get a job, they can't get even somebody to call them back. We talked about this before. The median age of a first-time home buyer is freaking 40. So the average person on the street is saying, you know what, that freaking Marx guy, it matches the reality that I'm seeing rather than what I hear from the mainstream, which is, look at the stock market. Stock market's booming. The economy's terrific. That's why we have a socialism problem, because what these people are being taught fits closer to their experience than what they hear from everybody else. I admonish people on the right to get this correct. Admit the economy sucks, and that's the reason why we have a socialism.
They have a hard time doing that, and they don't think it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
I know it is. That's what needs to be. That's what needs.
Yeah, affordability is a myth. Affordability is just something the left is
Democrats
be very. I said this the last 2 months, and I said if Rubio or Vance, if one of them comes out and says the following, and says anybody under the age of 30, you're not paying any federal income taxes until you turn 30 years old. Now, that's going to be a cost, but that's going to get the youth to say, wait, that's a concern. You guys saw the other day that Hochul said no tax on tips, and they asked, is this a Trump thing? She said, I'm not giving it to her. This was my idea. And they're like, wait a minute, you didn't come up with this idea. Somebody on the right needs to give the message on affordability, because watch what's being said in college campuses right now by young girls. I'm going to play you 2 clips. Again, Nick Shirley out there doing great work, and for some of you guys that love Nick Shirley, go Connect him. He's on Connect. Type his name, Nick Shirley. He responds back to pretty much 100% messages on Connect, and that's your way of supporting him. You know, people think Nick Shirley's a decamillionaire. He's able to do this. He needs support as much as possible. But watch this interview he does with this girl here. Go for it. Tell me how you feel about this young girl.
Is on the rise, and what do you think about communism?
I think communism sells. It's such a simple idea and message. It obviously doesn't work at all, but it's something that you could so easily say to a young, naive college person or young person in general. You can say everything should be free, and healthcare should be free, and universal, and education should be free. But people don't really understand the ramifications behind that statement. So, I mean, this is nothing new. People have been trying to sell the idea of socialism and communism for years and years and years. I mean, obviously, in pre-Soviet Russia, you had communism. That's where a lot of it started. You had the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks. And the Mensheviks were kind of like your mainstream run-of-the-mill Democrat, and then you had the Bolsheviks. This was way back in like the 1800s, 1900s, and the Bolsheviks came in. They were kind of like the DSA activists of today, and they said, well, the Mensheviks and the Democrats aren't being radical enough, and they aren't promising you all the things that we're promising you. We can give you free education and universal health care and all of these great things, and then they never deliver. So that happened back in the day. It's just like a recurring ideology. History is a big fat circle, and it's happening again because it's such an easy thing.
Now, you can pause it right there, because this can go for 2 minutes. I want to give you the complete counter of this with another girl that he asked a question. I just want you to see. This is a student at NYU, well-known school, complete 180 of a response. Go for it.
Let's just say somebody who has raped a woman.
Totally.
Would you like them to be out in the street?
I think my answer is yes, even though that's a challenging answer to say.
So if you got raped, would you like your rapist to be out in the street?
Well, like, let me finish, because I have been raped, and they are out in the street, and I'm not sure, like, them going to jail is a solution to like whatever's going on inside their heart, or even my own heart that like contributed to that experience that I'm having.
That's the
And
problem.
I don't want more people to get raped, but I don't know for certain that going into a jail in the United States
So you think she
is
was
going
born with these
to
ideas, or
shift
somebody sold
anything
her on these
inside
ideas?
of their like operating system so that they'll make a different choice again.
Wow,
he's
thank you guys so
confused.
much for
He
your
does not
time. and
follow up.
Is there one last message you'd like to give the people about potential the rise of communism or freeing the people inside the prisons?
Just like free yourself from the own prison in your heart, and then maybe we can.
I was raped, and I'm totally cool with letting the rapists out in the streets because, hey.
But this goes back to Snyder and what he's talking about is, are people born with these ideas?
No.
Or does somebody sell you on these ideas? And if there was somebody sold you on these ideas, what percentage of that influences parents? What percentage of that influences teachers? That's the real question.
And what percentage is experience? Again, she's exactly right. We've been hearing the communist message over and over again. Communism got very popular when? The 1930s. Why was communism popular? In the United States.
You're right.
In the United States.
A couple times the membership spike. Can you pull up communism membership spikes in the U.S.? Please continue.
My point is that communism spikes in popularity when it matches people's lived experience. What you say is, hell, the situation sucks. Let's try something radical.
That's right.
Put yourself in the shoes of a young person today. Wouldn't you say, yeah, hell, I'd like some free health care or some free this or free that because I can't get that in myself. I can't get in myself a house, a car, the experience that my parents had is completely out of reach. I have no hope. That message. So what she was saying is that what has changed here is that communism, they've been selling. I remember when I was in school in the 1980s, they sold us these ideas too. Nobody fell for it because in the 1980s, the economy didn't suck. Everybody could see that, we had the Soviet Union over here that has bread lines. You got the United States is legitimately booming. Prosperity is spreading through the world. Communism is going to sell in that type of environment. What has changed is the message now sells because it matches too many people's experience.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
And by the way, if you look at the number right there, it shows 1919, 1921, the Russian Revolution inspired 20 to 30,000 memberships in America. Went up to 40,000 plus 33 to 37, and then it went to 85,000 and 42, 75,000 and 47. This is during the Soviet alliance during World War II. And then it dropped in 2016, 17 when Trump got elected to 2 to 5,000. COVID went up to 5 to 15,000. I'm willing to bet today it is resurged and people are entertaining this idea. Part of it is brainwashing. Part of it is actual challenges in the economy, and they're offering a solution. And no matter how much people say about, what's his name, Mamdani. What did Mamdani say the other day about grocery stores that we didn't talk about? What did he suggest,
30%. They released a searchable online, to make 30% owned, immigrant-owned, 30% less grocery stores. And then the other immigrants in the neighborhood that have all these shops, the bodegas are like, wait a minute, you're going to undercut us. And now they're talking crap about him. So it's immigrant versus immigrant.
And they're talking class action suits saying you are intentionally, dropping your prices in an effort to throw me out of business. And now the city's going to have to prove, oh, no, that's not what we're doing. That's not what's going on. But that's the net effect of it. So this is heading to the courts, and there are independent grocers. Let's find it. So if you think socialism is great, just look downstream. Look at the outcome. Look at what's going on. Look at the growth of conservatism, but not nearly fast enough, Pat, in Europe in the elections. But it's an uphill battle. You have to get in front of it now.
Yeah, Adam, thoughts?
Well, that beautiful girl that spoke initially, she's absolutely right. And then you have that just whatever she was, it's sad but true. But the reality is capitalism and free markets is beautiful and communism is ugly. There's another picture I'd like to show. I don't know if we have that when the Fox News interview was interviewing the head of the DSA or one of the people there. We could show that in a second. But communism sounds good. It's kind of like, there you go, right there. Capitalism is the beautiful girl in the yellow, where communism, the head of the DSA co-chair, is whatever that is in the red glasses right there. Communism is basically you're taking a girl home and you wake up and it's a dude. because it sounds great on the surface, and you wake up, and next thing you know, you got some sore body parts.
Oh my goodness.
But
Adam, whatever personal experiences, this is not the place for.
So
This
you're
is like-
saying
Listen, why do you think I'm such a
game was a
capitalist,
movie
Pat?
about communism?
Why do you think
Yeah,
I'm
I'm with
such
you.
a capitalist, Pat?
That's subversive.
Communism has killed at least 100 million people, and they show up in your house unannounced. Not a good look. But you said 62% of people under 30 view, in the Democratic Party, view socialism favorably, identify as socialist. Is that what it was? This whole identifying as a man, there's a problem here. Look, I live in Miami. I went to school in Florida. I wish that I learned about the horrors of communism and the 100 million people that have been killed because of communism. But I had to learn on the streets, the school of hard knocks. Do you know how many Soviets basically fled Russia, moved to Miami? Cubans, Venezuelans. There's a lot of red pill communities here to kind of like circle back. Capitalism is basically teaching somebody how to go up and talk to a girl. Hey man, this is what girls like. Here's what you got to do. Be respectful, be firm. Whereas communism is basically saying, yeah, just go sexually assault women. That's what they like.
You
it's a
give
failed
some weird
system.
analogies at times that you
telling you,
lose
sir,
me. Like
I'm
about to be a communist after that break. What are you talking
Sign me
about?
up.
Like,
No.
Sign
you
me
should
up.
Be a capitalist. You should like pretty women,
My goodness,
not chicks with sticks.
And also,
It'll make sense in a minute.
Well,
so,
yeah.
can I piggyback on top?
Listen, let me just tell this funny
Don't
story.
piggyback on a communist,
I got
buddy. You might end up hurt.
30 seconds. I'll give it to you to wrap up, and then we got to finish up. Had a friend of mine when I was in the Army. This guy, poor guy, saved 2 years of money because his dream was to go to Brazil, to go to that annual, whatever that thing is that happens in Brazil. What did it call?
Carnival in Rio.
So he's like, dude, I got to go to Carnival. So I spend my money. He didn't. He saved his money. Saved his money, goes to Carnival. Goes there for 3 weeks. Uses military vacation time. It's a long time to go to Carnival. Vinny, this guy comes back.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, so, man, tell me. I'm just waiting to hear all the awesome stories. And he's a little bit shaken by it.
Oh, no.
I said, B, what happened? He says, well, listen, I met this beautiful girl. I said, really? And then? He says, well, and then, we went back. And then I had no idea that this beautiful girl had a dangling.
No.
I said, you're kidding me. He said, no. I said, so is it a dream? Are you ever going to go back to the Carnival again? Or he says, I will never go back to that place ever again. So to some of the people that are watching, just brace for impact.
Yeah,
you go, if you choose to go to Carnival, there's like, what do they call it?
The cup check?
The cup check? Like, do a cup check. I mean, like,
Hey, PBD.
my goodness.
PBD, I told you that story in confidence, and that was supposed to be our little
I
secret,
thought it
sir.
was, listen, it's
And
a
you're
perfect
exposing me to
timing.
public.
Can you imagine that you have to, in some places, you have to, anyways. I don't know how the hell we got there, but Adam's weird analogy
Guess what?
of
It goes back to
capitalism, communism.
1968. There's a great song by the Kinks called Lola. Go listen to
God,
it.
yeah.
This problem has been going on for decades.
Yep.
All right, so Lola made
like
a comeback to
communism,
Brazil.
right?
Go ahead, Vinny.
That was another story. It was a quick thing about Mamdani. You guys, and Connor, can you look this up? He released a searchable online database to make it easy for everybody to look up the New York property owners that have second homes that are going to go for that tax. He released it, basically it made it easier for people to find them all in one place. This comes after he published the 100 worst New York City landlords. He publicly calling out landlords. So this is, by the way, and it's piggybacking off of what you said, Jeff. It's not about transparency. He's creating villains. You keep telling people that landlords and wealthy property owners are the reason that they're struggling. Then you hand them a public map showing them where these people live. Like, you don't, like, he's purposely saying, hey, listen, there's the rich people, here are the enemy, go and find them. It's the same communist playbook, Pat. You pick a group, blame them for society's problems, publicly identify them, and then turn them into the enemy and say to the people, hey, go find these people.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Okay. All right, guys, good time with you. I thought today's Thursday. It's Friday. We're still going to stay on the schedule Monday, Friday, because we're going to we got the vault season that's coming up. For some of you guys that are watching this, I haven't done this in a while. At the end, if you watch us and you haven't subscribed, do so. Every day we work to make the content better for you. If this is engaging, you want to see this grow even more, it would mean the world to us for you to do it. And if you're watching this on Spotify, take a moment, give it a 5-star, and post a review there as well. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll do it again next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.